My grandfather showed up at our house out of the blue, saying he wanted to take either me or my younger sister to be his heir. Grandfather is a renowned painter with considerable wealth. My sister thought life with him would be worry-free, so in our previous life, she left with him without hesitation. As for me, after being carefully groomed by our parents, I married an ultra-wealthy man and became the envy of everyone as a rich socialite, jealous of me. My sister schemed her way into my husband's bed, but my husband doesn't want to divorce me, so my sister set the mansion on fire and held me tight, ready to die together. We were reborn together at the moment our grandfather came to take one of us away. This time, my sister took both our parents' hands and said, "Mom, Dad, I'll take care of you when you're old." I followed my grandfather with a light heart. No more being paraded around as a social butterfly. My sister Stella and I were born into a comfortably well-off family with assets worth millions. Our family of 4 lived a stable and peaceful life, but my father, driven by ambition, was determined to climb the social ladder and break into high society. That's why he started grooming my sister and me from an early age, hoping to marry us both into elite wealthy families. My grandfather disapproved of my parents' approach to raising us, using the need to pass down his painting techniques as his reason. The year I turned 8, he came to our house and said he wanted to take one of us, my sister or me, as his successor. In my previous life, my sister thought that by going with our grandfather, she would inherit his entire fortune, so she left with him without hesitation. Later, she became a freelance painter, living life on her own terms and inheriting her grandfather's fortune worth hundreds of millions. But when she saw that I had married into one of the nation's top 10 wealthiest families on the Forbes list, she turned green with envy. Truly wonderful. So in this lifetime, when her grandfather appeared, Stella took both her father's and mother's hands and said, "Dad, Mom, when I grow up, I'll work hard to earn money and support you in your old age." My younger sister has always been mischievous and never listens to discipline. Upon hearing this, Mom and Dad were instantly overjoyed. 1. With a smile on my face, I took my grandfather's hand. In a sweet, gentle voice, I said to him, "Grandpa, I want to take care of you when you're old." 2. Hearing this, grandfather smiled with deep satisfaction. "Let's go then." My sister came to see me off before I left. Just as I was getting in the car, she declared triumphantly, "Linda, it's my turn in this lifetime to be the wealthy socialite." Her eyes were filled with restless desire and barely concealed greed. A meaningful smile touched my lips as I said, "May all your wishes come true." Stella believed marrying into wealth was the ultimate dream. Little did she know the life I'd lived in my previous existence. I truly hope she never regrets the choice she's making now. Stella has always been obsessed with status and appearances since childhood. Whenever she saw her private school classmates wearing limited edition clothes and shoes, she'd pester her parents to buy them for her. But her parents had limited means and often had to turn her down. She'd frequently throw tantrums with her parents over this. Her grandfather is a renowned painter in China, and any one of his paintings can fetch millions. Stella thought that after moving in with her grandfather, she could freely buy all the limited edition clothes she wanted, but her grandfather never indulged her. He sent her to an ordinary school, bought her plain clothes, and never took her to any high society gatherings. She paints every single day. She says the sight of canvases and paints makes her sick, but with me, she's nothing but envy. My parents have pulled out all the stops to marry me into a wealthy family. They enrolled me in all sorts of talent training classes. Under their meticulous cultivation, I became accomplished in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. On my 18th birthday, my parents threw me a grand coming-of-age ceremony where I truly shone. I also won the hearts of many wealthy heirs. I became the most sought-after socialite in our circle. After graduating from university, my parents introduced me to Victor, a top-tier tycoon 20 years my senior. Soon I became the envy of everyone as a lady of luxury. Everywhere I go, I receive exclusive VVIP treatment. Stella was burning with envy. She wanted to live the kind of life I have, so she schemed her way into her brother-in-law's bed. She even got pregnant with her brother-in-law's child, but Victor had no intention of marrying her. He was just toying with her. He told her to get an abortion. In a fit of rage, Stella set Victor's entire mansion on fire to get back at him. The entire Victor family perished in the flames. Before she died, Stella locked me in the room. She choked me, dragging us both to our doom. "If I can't have it, neither can you." The next time I opened my eyes, we had both been reborn. Before Grandpa arrived, she whispered to me, "Linda, it's time we changed the script. This time I'm going to be a wealthy socialite." I replied with detached calm, "Fine by me, couldn't ask for more. I'm certain in this lifetime, she'll eventually see Victor for the monster he truly is. I just hope when that day comes, she can still smile and tell me, 'Linda, I have no regrets about the choices I made in this life.'" 2. The moment I stepped back into my grandfather's house, all the tension just melted away. Even though Grandpa never bought me designer clothes or took me to fancy parties, He was very strict with me. He often pushed me to keep drawing until he was satisfied. He never offered comforting words, yet I felt completely at ease. No one's forcing me to attend all those skill-building classes anymore. No one's forcing me to suck up to those wealthy socialites in our circle anymore. And no one's making me cater to those greasy old men who could be my father or even grandfather. What Stella dreams of having is exactly what I'm desperate to escape. Time flew by. And before I knew it, I was already 16. That year for the new year, Mom brought Stella to my grandpa's house to pick us up and bring us back to celebrate. I was dressed plainly, wore no makeup, and looked completely natural and unadorned, unlike Stella, who was decked out in designer clothes, wore light makeup, and was meticulously groomed from head to toe. She looked at me with utter disdain and sneered, "Country bumpkin." I pretended not to hear her, smiling faintly without a word. During winter break, Stella celebrated her 15th birthday, as the family's great hope, meticulously groomed by our parents. Her birthday was naturally celebrated with great fanfare. Dressed in an expensive gown with subtle makeup, Stella looked as exquisite and beautiful as a porcelain doll, captivating everyone who laid eyes on her. I still wear plain clothes and don't use any makeup. I just want to stay out of the spotlight. It would be best if no one noticed me. Stella captivated the entire banquet with her breathtaking dance, earning a thunderous round of applause. Stella is absolutely stunning. Stella was born to dance. It would be a crime if she didn't pursue it. Stella, you were incredible. Stella beamed with joy as applause filled the room. Mom and Dad's faces were glowing with pride. I glanced at Grandpa beside me, but his expression remained stoic. I whispered, "Grandpa, Stella danced so beautifully. Aren't you going to applaud her?" Grandpa snorted disdainfully and remarked, "A family so obsessed with vanity, what's there to applaud?" Grandpa saw right through them. He truly has a sharp eye for people. After Stella finished dancing, her parents urged her to cozy up to the wealthy socialites in their circle, but Stella was too transparent in her motives. No matter how hard she tried to ingratiate herself, nobody was buying it. The wealthy socialites didn't stay long before finding her birthday party utterly dull and left. Before leaving, I overheard one of them sneering to the others, as if anyone can't see Stella's parents are trying to package and pawn her off into our elite circles. Again, I smiled without saying a word. Mom and Dad really outsmarted themselves this time. The only ones who stayed through Stella's entire birthday celebration were families of comparable wealth, comfortably off but not exceptional. Yet her parents looked down on them entirely. They told Stella to keep her distance and not get too friendly with them. The birthday party wrapped up at 11 o'clock in the evening. Stella incurred her parents' displeasure for failing to win over the wealthy ladies from the top-tier elite families. They scolded Stella right in front of me and Grandpa. Her father was exasperated by her failure to meet his expectations. "I told you to sweet-talk them. Why couldn't you say more? What's the use of that mouth of yours, you fool?" "Mom, Dad, I said everything you told me to. What else could I do if they still didn't like me?" Stella replied, full of resentment, utterly disappointed. Mother said, "No more excuses. You'll spend the night locked in the dark room and won't be coming out." With that, she had the servant drag Stella away. Grandfather said nothing, only shaking his head with a sigh. Then, taking my hand, he led me upstairs to rest, after using the bathroom. I decided to go check on Stella. Stella was locked in the dark little room on the top floor. The room had no running water or electricity. It was the special chamber our parents used specifically to punish us. In my past life, I spent countless days and nights locked away in this little dark room. Whenever I disappointed my parents, they would lock me in here. When I failed to win over those wealthy socialites, when I couldn't make their sons like me, whenever I failed to win the favor of those in power, they would mercilessly lock me away in this place. That's why I developed such an intense fear of darkness. Stella doesn't know that in my past life, I lived in constant dread of the dark. I spent countless sleepless nights staring into the darkness. I consulted every renowned doctor across the country, yet none could cure me. When Stella held me in that final embrace, my flame was already flickering. I didn't have long to live. I wasn't even 25 at the time. Before I even reached the top floor, Stella's sobs drifted down to meet me. A sense of grievance and sorrow hung heavy in the night air, weighing down the darkness. The corner of my mouth twitched involuntarily. Stella, is this the life you were so desperate to have? Time flies. Before I knew it, my college entrance exams were upon me. I was already a good student in my past life, and having gone through the material twice, I aced the exams with ease. I scored 745 points and got into Harvard. I was also the only high school graduate in the country admitted to Harvard University. News channels flocked to cover my story. I instantly became the most talked about internet sensation. Netizens across the nation were cheering me on. Grandpa was so happy for me. "Linda, you're amazing, absolutely incredible, for someone who's usually so reserved." He actually spoke to me with such heartfelt enthusiasm. Mom and Dad were completely stunned when they found out I'd scored so high on the test. Ever since I left with Grandpa, they've completely ignored me and poured all their attention into Stella. I kept a low profile on purpose and never shared our academic achievements or other good news with them, so it was hard for them to notice me. Little did they expect that their seemingly unremarkable eldest daughter would be admitted to Harvard, one of the world's top universities. Being the status-conscious people they are, they insisted on throwing a celebration banquet for me, without even asking. They whisked my grandfather and me straight to their home, then they notified everyone in their social circle, inviting affluent families, from the comfortably well-off to the truly wealthy. Having been raised by my grandfather and keeping a deliberately low profile, very few in their circles knew I existed, but now, with my outstanding performance on the college entrance exams, I'd thoroughly piqued their curiosity, and they all flocked to my parents' house for my celebration party. Our home was bustling with visitors, packed to the rafters and buzzing with excitement. People are naturally drawn to strength. Those elite socialites who wouldn't give Stella the time of day no matter how hard she tried to curry favor actually took a shining to me. "Linda, how are you so incredibly talented, Linda? I'm planning to have my son repeat the school year. Would you be able to tutor him, Linda? Are you seeing anyone? You and my son would make such a lovely couple. Would you consider going out with him?" Seizing the moment, Dad hurried back to his room to fetch the painting I had just finished. "Our Linda doesn't just excel academically, she's also incredibly gifted in painting." Beaming with pride, Mom added, "That's right, her grandfather has been teaching her to paint. And she's been such a diligent student that she's truly mastered his techniques." Everyone was visibly amazed when they saw my painting. "Linda, your painting skills are absolutely incredible. Linda, how are you so multi-talented? Are you an actual fairy? Linda, you're truly exceptional. I'd be over the moon if my daughter had even half your talents." Everyone was singing my praises to the skies. Stella was green with envy. After the celebration, Stella came to my room. Why do you always steal the spotlight from me in this lifetime too? Where exactly did I fall short?" She was seething with resentment, her heart brimming with indignation. Unfazed, I calmly replied, "I never intended to compete with you. That's precisely why. Those who are driven to compete and win will ultimately meet their downfall, yet those who never sought to compete or triumph often find victory coming effortlessly." But these truths are something that the ignorant and shallow Stella will never understand. Sure enough, she dismissed it with a scoff. "Who would believe such nonsense from you? Suit yourself." Brimming with resentment, she said, "I won't lose to you again in this lifetime. Just you wait and see." I didn't accept any overtures from wealthy ladies. Defying my parents' objections, my grandfather and I moved to the US early. Firstly, to get accustomed to life there ahead of time. Secondly, to avoid my parents' constant pestering. Everything became so peaceful after arriving in the United States. I quickly adapted to life here. Before I knew it, a year had passed. A year later, Stella faced her college entrance exams. Stella once vowed to her parents that she would follow in her sister's footsteps and get into Harvard, but she only scored 600 points on the exam. That's not even enough to get into Tsinghua or Peking University. Her parents were deeply disappointed in her. I heard from the housekeeper that her parents locked her in a dark room for 3 whole days and nights. She nearly starved to death. I couldn't even be bothered to rain on her parade. Time flew by. Before I knew it, I had graduated from university. My strong artistic skills were so sought after that even before graduation, numerous design firms were offering me lucrative positions. I smiled without a word. I even received offers from 2 luxury brands. I politely turned them all down. I have no interest in fame or fortune, nor do I wish to be caught up in that rat race again, for all I want is my freedom. After graduation, I came straight back to my home country. In the days to come, I hope to spend quality time with and take good care of my grandfather. The moment I returned home, my grandfather actively paved the way for my career. At his own art exhibitions, he would display my work alongside his, telling everyone it was his granddaughter's creation, the pupil surpassing the master. He even brought up my prestigious education, proudly mentioning I was a Harvard graduate. I soon gained some recognition within the circle. Meanwhile, Stella was about to graduate from college. During her senior year, her parents introduced her to Victor. After that, she took the initiative and pursued him. She won him over in no time. Her parents bought her ovulation-inducing medication, right in front of me. Our parents repeatedly urged Stella, "You must get pregnant with his child. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Don't let it slip away." Stella happily accepted the medication and said, "Don't worry, Mom and Dad. I won't let you down this time." After our parents left, she smugly remarked to me, "So what if you graduated from Harvard, Linda? In the end, you still didn't marry as well as I did." As if she had already married into a wealthy family, I smiled dismissively. "Well, I hope you get what you wish for. She thought the life of a wealthy wife was absolutely wonderful, but the truth is, hardly any wealthy wives are truly happy. From what I've seen, there's no shortage of wealthy wives living in quiet desperation. Well, Stella, if you're so eager to taste the bitterness of high society, be my guest. Stella got pregnant with Victor's child before even graduating, using the baby as her golden ticket. Victor never intended to marry Stella in the first place. But my parents went and posted their dating photos online. They even leaked the news about Stella's pregnancy outright. They even bought trending spots to sensationalize the whole thing. Victor is the chairman of a major corporation and a renowned philanthropist in the country. His reputation means everything to him. He ultimately caved in to protect his reputation. He agreed to marry Stella. The wedding was a grand and lavish affair. Stella stole the show. She was grinning from ear to ear. But Victor... well, that's a whole other story. As I passed by a deserted corner, I saw Victor locked in a passionate embrace with his secretary. The sight was so jarring it nearly made me sick. After their passionate kiss, the secretary melted into Victor's arms and cooed, "Darling, I'll be waiting for you at my place tomorrow night. You must come." Victor gently stroked her hair. In the middle of the night, I got up to use the bathroom. "I'll be there," overjoyed. She immediately planted a fervent kiss on his cheek. Victor grinned mischievously and gave her but a firm slap. The secretary giggled coyly. "You're so bad. I almost threw up everything I'd eaten." She quickly gathered her skirt and tiptoed away. In his previous life, Victor was also carrying on an affair with his female secretary. It was an open secret. Everyone in the company looked down on the secretary. Yet they all held her in awe. The secretary once gloated in front of me, saying, "You're just a pawn Victor keeps to advance his career, a mere tool. I'm the one he truly loves. How could you possibly compare to me?" These were all things Stella never knew. Of course, I never told her, because I didn't want anyone to know how utterly broken I, Linda, had become. My body was completely drained by age 25, partly from chronic insomnia and relentless psychological strain, but also because I kept reinforcing this destructive narrative in my head. My body's giving out. I'm dying. The thought of divorcing Victor has crossed my mind more than once, but those sordid memories are like brand seared into my skin. No amount of scrubbing will ever wash them away. Sometimes death seems like the only way out. What Stella doesn't realize is that I don't blame her at all for setting that fire. Not long after the wedding, Stella came to visit me at my grandfather's house, her baby bump still barely showing. She was beaming with joy, adorned with dazzling jewelry from head to toe. She proudly showed off the bracelet on her wrist, boasting, "Do you know how much this is worth? 150 million. Victor won it for me at an auction, and these earrings are worth 20 million. I don't feel the slightest bit envious," she said flatly. "Congratulations, ma'am." Her smile faded as she taunted me mercilessly. "So what if you got into Harvard, Linda? Your life still doesn't measure up to mine. Look at you now, dressed like you just crawled out of a cornfield." Her eyes held undisguised contempt. "Stella, she's your sister and the apple of my eye. Show some respect when you speak to her." Grandpa suddenly appeared, his face stern as he scolded Stella harshly. Stella's face instantly flushed with grievance, yet her eyes burned with resentment and defiance. She shot me a venomous glare, then supporting her belly, hurried out of Grandpa's house. Grandpa watched her fleeing figure and shook his head with a sigh. "Someone like her doesn't deserve happiness." I nodded gently. "Stella is too ignorant and mean-spirited to hold on to what she has now." I smiled at Grandpa and said, "Thank you, Grandpa." With that, I opened my arms and embraced him. My grandfather held me tenderly and said, "As long as I'm here, I won't let her bully you." Tears welled up in my eyes. It feels so good to be cherished. Stella constantly flaunts how fabulous her wealthy lifestyle is, like attending exclusive high society parties, dining with the world's richest man Bill Gates, or having a home that's always bustling with visitors, everyone vying to win her favor. My parents basked in her reflected glory, showering her with praise right in front of me, and they never missed a chance to lecture me. "Linda, what's the point of fiddling with your drawings all day? You'd be better off learning from your sister." 5. I poured all my energy into my career. I believe the universe rewards those who work hard. My artwork was selected for the Olympic promotional campaign and went viral online, receiving overwhelming praise. Linda's skills are absolutely incredible. I'm genuinely in awe. When she took the National College Entrance exam, she was the only person in the country admitted to Harvard University. All these years later, no one has yet matched that achievement. Linda's grandfather is the renowned painter Jean Gagnon, but she's truly surpassed her master. Absolutely remarkable. That piece of work made me an overnight sensation. My parents were so proud they insisted on throwing a banquet to celebrate my achievement properly. The banquet was packed with guests and full of lively energy. It felt just like when my parents threw me that celebration banquet after I got into Harvard. The elite socialites showered me with compliments, warmly holding my hands while asking if I was seeing anyone. Just as I was about to say I wasn't, Stella suddenly appeared arm in arm with her new husband Victor. Victor hadn't changed a bit. His greasy face and inscrutable eyes radiated an unsettling aura from head to toe. "Congratulations, Linda," he said with detached formality. Uttering the obligatory pleasantry, I offered a strained smile. "Thank you." Victor turned to Stella beside him. "Stella, bring out the congratulatory gift for your sister now." Stella let out an "oh," then handed me a black box. I opened the lid, and an exquisite pearl necklace came into view. Stella said, "Victor went to Hong Kong last month and bought 2 pieces of jewelry at an auction. I can't wear that many, so I'm giving one of them to you. Sis, you've never worn such expensive accessories before. Now you'll have a chance to really enjoy them." I pretended not to catch the condescension in her tone. "I'm just an ordinary person. There's no use for me to wear such costly jewelry. You should keep it for yourself." I handed the jewelry back. Then I turned to the society matron beside me and answered her earlier question. "Madam, I'm actually still single." Her face instantly lit up, and she clasped my hand excitedly. "How wonderful. I must introduce you to my son sometime. You're around the same age. Both appreciate art. I'm sure you'll hit it off." I smiled warmly and agreed. Then quietly glanced toward Stella. Stella's eyes were filled with pure envy. The Dante family was the wealthiest clan in Kyoto, far surpassing the Victors in financial standing. The lady's son, known as the Crown Prince of Beijing's elite circles, was Stella's schoolmate in this lifetime and the object of her youthful infatuation. Stella had tried every trick in the book to seduce Dante, but Dante wouldn't give her the time of day. He never showed her a shred of kindness. That's why our parents settled for second best and married Stella off to Victor, a man 20 years her senior. After the Olympics, I struck while the iron was hot and held my solo art exhibition. This is my debut art exhibition. My grandfather has been incredibly supportive. No one wants my debut exhibition to succeed more than he does. Dante's mother arrived arm in arm with her son, making a grand entrance with the Crown Prince of Beijing's elite social circle. Dante's mother was quite taken with my artwork. She kept praising my natural talent. Then she turned to her son Dante and said, "Linda is truly exceptional. Son, you should learn from her." Dante's warm and gentle gaze fell upon me. I gave him a faint, subtle smile. Just then, a familiar voice cut through the conversation. "Look at how accomplished Linda is. Got into Harvard, had her work selected for the Olympics. Your sister's from the same parents, so how did you end up so far apart?" It was Stella and her mother-in-law. Her belly was just beginning to show at this point, yet she still had to carry her mother-in-law's clothes, sun hat, and handbag. She looked nothing like a wealthy socialite, more like a housemaid in Victor's family. I found myself curling the corners of my lips involuntarily. Victor's mother was an exceptionally harsh old woman who had subjected me to endless humiliation in my previous life. She looks down on me because she thinks I'm just after the wealth and status of the Victor family, so she makes things difficult for me at every turn. Even though there are more than enough servants in the house, the old lady still makes me fetch water for her footbath every night. She even makes me hand wash her underwear. I never told my family about these things, so Stella has no idea. I'm afraid in this lifetime, her treatment in the Victor household won't be much better than mine was. Linda. The elderly lady spotted me and greeted me warmly. I responded coolly, "Good day, madam." The elderly lady took my hand and said enthusiastically, "I've seen all your works. You paint so beautifully. When you have time, come visit us and teach me how to paint." The elderly lady had no other hobbies. Painting was her greatest passion. In her youth, she had dreamed of becoming a painter, but her limited talent kept that dream out of reach. After marrying Victor's father and becoming a full-time homemaker, she set that dream aside for good. A troubled expression crossed my face. "I wouldn't set foot in Victor's house again if you paid me." Stella cut in. "My mother-in-law was kind enough to invite you. You're not going to refuse her goodwill, are you?" Her eyes were filled with disapproval toward me, as if saying, "Don't be ungrateful. Shut your mouth. Who asked for your opinion?" The old woman shot her an annoyed glare. Stella's face instantly flushed with hurt. The crowd's gazes held a mix of pity and mockery as they watched her. I smiled nonchalantly at the old woman and said, "Sure, we'll have a proper match when we both have some free time. I've been waiting for you to say that." The elderly woman's wrinkled face lit up with a beaming smile. My first art exhibition was quite a success. We had a good turnout, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. I'd say it's a promising start. I immediately threw myself into preparing for the second art exhibition. Just then, my parents called to say Stella had suffered a stillbirth, and asked me to come to the hospital right away. How could something like this happen so suddenly when everything seemed fine? I immediately put down my paintbrush and went to the hospital with my grandfather. We had just reached the hospital room door when we heard our parents scolding Stella from inside. How could you lose the baby when everything was going fine? Why weren't you more careful? We spent so much money raising you properly and getting you into an elite family. How could you be so ungrateful? Are you completely brainless? You couldn't even manage to keep a child safe. You're utterly useless, nothing like your sister, Stella sobbed. It wasn't my fault. I just had a prenatal checkup last month and the doctor said the baby was perfectly healthy. How was I supposed to know this month's checkup would show the fetus had stopped developing? Hearing this, Grandpa shook his head and sighed. The wealthy families are like deep oceans. Did she really think it would be easy to navigate? Without a doubt, someone must have tampered with her child. I also let out a sigh. Stella is naive and shallow. She's just not cut out for that kind of high society life. With a face full of disappointment, Grandpa said, "Let's go. I can't be bothered to go in and see her." I nodded. All right. I didn't want to face those 3 people inside either. The old lady never thought much of Stella to begin with. She'd even yell at her when Stella was pregnant. Now that she's lost the baby, the old lady treats her even worse. 6. On Dante's mother's 55th birthday. I went to Dante's house to congratulate her. Stella, Victor, and the elderly lady also came. Stella got an earful from the elderly lady for serving her a cup of coffee that was too hot. "Why is this coffee so scalding hot? Are you trying to burn my mouth off?" Victor also started scolding Stella. "How could you be so careless?" Stella flushed with embarrassment, feeling utterly humiliated, but didn't dare utter a word in response, while I was sitting by the pool drinking matcha. Dante came over carrying some pastries. "I noticed you haven't eaten all evening. These pastries are sugar-free and low-fat. I had the kitchen prepare them specially for you. How did he know I'm trying to lose weight?" Meeting his ever-warm and gentle gaze, my heart softened a little. The pastries are delicious. How can they never get old no matter how much you eat? A faint smile played on his lips. "There's more if you want." I waved my hands hastily, trying to fatten me to death. His grin widened. "Wouldn't dare." Just then, I caught Stella glaring at us from a distance, her face like thunder. The next day, Stella showed up at our grandfather's house. She headed straight for my studio. "Linda, what exactly did you do to seduce Dante?" This must have been the question she'd been dying to ask since last night. She's still holding on to this so tightly. Seems Dante never really left her thoughts. Watching the jealousy simmer in her eyes, I replied with detached calm. "I've never seduced any man." With a sharp crack, she kicked over a nearby paint bucket in furious frustration. Black paint spread across the white tiles, instantly staining the floor. "We've clearly switched life scripts, so how come you're still doing better than me?" Watching her seethe with rage and resentment, I let out a soft sigh. "Stella, people admire strength. No one respects someone who only wants to take, acquire, and possess things from others. Did you really think staying silent would keep people from seeing right through you?" "Shut up. Who are you to lecture me?" she snapped, her face flushing with anger. I pointed at the door. "I can't be bothered with you. Get out." Stella shot me a venomous glare. "I refuse to believe I can outdo you in this lifetime." With that, she turned and strode away. My grandfather took me to an art world dinner, saying he wanted to introduce me to some fellow artists during the event. I stepped out to use the restroom and happened to see Stella in one of the VIP rooms as I passed by. She was being forced to drink by a sleazy old man who could have been her grandfather. My blood ran cold, rushing straight to my head. A chill ran through my entire body. I recognized this old man. I'd know him even if he were turned to ashes. He was one of the powerful figures Victor forced me to serve in my past life. Victor was so ambitious and determined to expand his business empire that he didn't hesitate to offer his own wife to another man. That old man was a pervert who tortured me to the point where I was barely alive. I will never forget those filthy, horrifying memories from the past. My breathing became increasingly rapid. I was almost oxygen deprived, so I ran away immediately. The next time I saw Stella was at the hospital. She was being supported by a servant from Victor's household. Trembling as she walked out of the procedure room, accompanying her was Victor's personal secretary. The secretary said to her with detached politeness, "Madam, the CEO asked me to oversee this. Now that the pregnancy has been terminated, my task is complete. I have matters to attend to at the office, so I'll take my leave. Please take good care of yourself." There's no doubt that the child Stella just aborted wasn't Victor's. As for which man's it was, that's anyone's guess. After the secretary left, I walked over to Stella. My sudden appearance took Stella completely by surprise. A wave of mortifying embarrassment washed over me. She said, "Are you here to laugh at me?" I held up the medicine in my hand and said, "My grandfather is sick. I'm here to pick up his prescription." Stella still couldn't bring herself to look at me and said to the maid beside her, "Let's go." I suddenly spoke up. "Stella, those old men are disgusting, aren't they?" Stella immediately looked shocked. She seemed to have realized something. No wonder you left with Grandpa without hesitation back then. Linda, why did you keep this from me? As these words left my lips, bitter tears welled up uncontrollably, streaming down my face. Because this is what you wanted. She let out a near hysterical laugh. Was she laughing at her own foolishness, or her own stupidity? Stella stabbed Victor. Victor was covered in wounds from head to toe. Not a single part of him was left unscathed. You could see just how much she despised him. Stella was ultimately sentenced to life imprisonment. When I visited her in prison, she had long lost the glamour she once had. At just 28 years old, she was completely devoid of youthful vitality, resembling a woman in her 40s. Her eyes were filled with utter despair. Linda, I regret it. Her tone was sincere. I knew exactly what she was referring to. She was talking about swapping life scripts with me. I said calmly, Stella, thank you for starting that fire. It set me free. Stella's voice caught in her throat as she choked out. Dante must look down on me, doesn't he? Who would have thought she still cared about Dante's opinion after all this time? I don't know, but I don't think any of that matters anymore. It's not like she and Dante stood a chance anyway. Stella put down the receiver, sobbing uncontrollably. I said, take care of yourself. With that, I left. The prison felt suffocating, but outside, the sky was clear and bright, and the air was filled with the scent of freedom. Stella, I don't hold any grudge against you, not even a trace of resentment. Thank you for carrying the burden of my past life's destiny. Because of you, I've been given the chance to become someone worthy in this lifetime. Not long after, word came from the prison. Stella had taken her own life. The shock of Stella's suicide was too much for Mother to bear, and she fell gravely ill almost immediately. She passed away not long after, unable to withstand the relentless blows. Father's mental state began to deteriorate. Without hesitation, I had him committed to a psychiatric hospital. This family exhausted every scheme to climb the social ladder, only to end up with nothing to show for it. It's both pitiful and absurd, but they don't deserve an ounce of sympathy. When Dante proposed to me, I turned him down. I have to admit, I was tempted for a moment. But I didn't want to re-enter that elite social circle where everyone's just chasing fame and fortune. I want to live a life with greater freedom. 7. After turning him down, I cut off all contact with him and the Dante family. I also gradually withdrew from high society circles. From then on, I focused entirely on my career. I've achieved great success in this lifetime. I want for neither fame nor fortune. And with my freedom intact, I lead a comfortable and fulfilling life. Had I married into the Dante family, I wouldn't have accomplished what I have today, nor would I be living such a contented life. Life is always about trade-offs. There's one thought I'd like to share with all of you. Relying on others is unreliable. You are your own greatest support. May we all become the captains of our own lives. Story 2. My best friend and I were reborn together in a beast world, where she stumbled upon a mystical exchange system. She confessed her envy for my beauty, how I was the tribe's darling, always the center of attention, who later married the alpha wolf chieftain to secure a worry-free life, while she remained in my shadow, quietly yearning for what I had. So she traded her health to steal my beauty away. Little did she know, in this beast world, beauty was practically an invitation for violation, unless she lost her sanity. How could she endure the constant threat of being assaulted? Thanks to her, I not only got a second life but became the high priest who unified the entire beast continent. After death, I had this bizarre dream. In the dream, my best friend Vane and I stood in a vast expanse of white mist. A glowing orb flickered in and out of view, introducing itself as the exchange system and asking Vane if she wanted to trade with me. She nodded eagerly with delight. I want all of Talia's wealth. System, are you sure? Talia may have been the alpha's wife for 20 years. But she barely owns anything personally. Most assets belong to the werewolf clan. This is your only chance to make the exchange. Think carefully before answering. Vane hesitated, then cursed under her breath. All that talk about marrying into wealth and never worrying about provisions again. Yet she doesn't even have a penny to her name. 1. System, anything she inherently possesses can be traded. Beauty, wealth, IQ, lifespan, health. You may even specify the timing of the exchange. Vane's eyes lit up. Let's swap her beauty. The timing must be right before the coming-of-age ritual begins. It was Talia's face that caught the werewolf alpha's eye during the sacred rite. After marriage, he not only adored her but treated her with utmost devotion. A wealthy, powerful alpha with striking looks and unwavering loyalty. He's literally the ultimate mate in the shifter world. If I had her looks, Zane would have chosen me instead. Vane burst into uproarious laughter, her face alight with the thrill of a dream come true. Through my dazed haze, I watched her face contort with excitement as I screamed internally, "Take this damned beauty if you want it so badly." A mechanical voice buzzed in my ear, asking whether I agreed to her proposed exchange. Beauty, this is the most useless thing I own. Fighting back my excitement, I nodded in agreement. I awoke at dawn on a soft fur pallet. As the daughter of a Fox clan warrior, I lived comfortably. My mother was a pure white silver fox who mated with my silver wolf father, giving birth to me, a nine-tailed fox. As the only nine-tailed fox in the tribe, my noble lineage and extraordinary beauty made me the center of attention from the moment I became self-aware. Is Talia awake yet? It's your turn to gather today. Hurry and get yourself ready. The animal hide curtain at the cave entrance lifted, revealing the silhouette of a woman dressed in revealing white fur garments that barely covered her essentials. My mother in this lifetime. Yes, in this lifetime, actually, I'm a transmigrator. In my first life, I graduated with dual master's degrees in biology and chemistry from a top Chinese university in the 21st century. My best friend insisted on taking me to a bar to celebrate my graduation, but we both died in an accident. After death, we were reborn together in a beast world. Until my previous life ended when the very friend I trusted most caused my death during childbirth. In my past life, I married Zane, the alpha of the werewolf clan, right after my coming-of-age ceremony. For 20 years among the werewolves, my world revolved solely around him and our 7 children, never once venturing beyond the pack's territory. With extraordinary beauty but limited cultivation potential as a fox spirit, I had to secure a powerful mate immediately after adulthood, lest my allure bring calamity upon myself and our kind. Vane is my best friend, a crimson fox in her beast form. The famously gorgeous red fox lineage took an unexpected turn with her. She was an utterly ordinary female, mediocre family, plain looks, ostracized by the tribe since childhood. I alone befriended her. When the clan began seeing her as my sidekick, her life finally became bearable. Then came my previous life's pregnancy with little 8. When the beast world suffered its worst drought in millennia, the fox tribe was weak, constantly seeking protection from stronger clans. The wolf tribe readily took our people in. To my surprise, Vane grew jealous seeing how respected I was among the wolves, maintaining my grace even in times of disaster. As I neared childbirth, she sowed discord between the serpent and wolf tribes, sparking a bloody conflict that claimed many lives. She pretended to care for me while secretly tormenting me with cruel words, causing my death during childbirth. My baby Xiaoba didn't survive either. She told me how my father died from snake venom protecting my mother, who then took her own life beside his body rather than be captured and remarried. This war began when she revealed to the Serpent Clan's chief that the Wolf Clan leader's wife was a legendary nine-tailed fox, not only breathtakingly beautiful but also blessed with the rare ability to commune with the beast gods. Thus did the greedy Serpent Clan launch their war. Sitting on the animal hide, I felt dazed. That dream still seemed unreal. I clearly died in childbirth, yet somehow ended up in a blank white void before waking right before the coming-of-age ritual. What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Talia, noticing my prolonged stillness, the beauty at the cave entrance approached with concern. Mom, I'm fine. Just woke up and still a bit groggy. Just kidding. I haven't even started having children yet, still in perfect health. In my past life when I married into the wolf tribe, Zane truly was wonderful, powerful, and devoted, but he wouldn't let me leave the settlement, not even for gathering. He just kept me trapped in the tribe, forcing me to bear his children endlessly, because Zane always said dragons have 9 offspring, as the alpha. He insisted the wolf clan was no lesser and must have 9 children too. Orcs rarely conceive. Yet I bore 7 wolf pups in 20 years. The 8th child never took its first breath, but it took my last. Constant pregnancies left my body broken long before its time. This face too fair. I dare not lose the wolf clan's protection. Vane only sees the prestige of being the alpha's mate in the wolf clan, but never considers the hardship of my forced pregnancies and constant childbearing. Had I not exhausted every means and applied modern methods, I would have died long ago. The orcs possess far greater physical strength than humans. Pregnancy inflicts equal damage on all mothers. I joined the gathering party searching for food near the settlement, while the hunting team must venture farther to track prey. Having lived in the beast world for over 20 years, I've long grown accustomed to this way of life. If last night's dream comes true, it means I've lost my beauty and won't need to seek protection anymore. Though I can't see my current face yet. The tribe members' behavior gives me some clues. When people saw my face today, their usual infatuation seemed to be gone. Every clansman could speak with me normally, and I already had the answer in my heart. I couldn't help but feel elated. Arwen, have you seen Vane today? While gathering, I carefully collected information on the side. Talia, just ignore her from now on. She's only acting so brazen because she's got that pretty face. Exactly. She won't even gather with us, just waits for the beast folk hunters to return so she can flirt for extra prey with her pretty face. Only you'd be kind enough to care. Talia, Vane has admirers lining up. She couldn't care less about your friendship. The moment I spoke, my friends bombarded me with unsolicited advice. Their words made me realize how different this life was from my past one. This time, Vane retained her beauty, yet still faced ostracism from the clan. I got along well with her. but the tribe pitied me for it. She probably never realized the real reason she was shunned in her past life. It wasn't because she was an unattractive red fox, her personality was just awful. Back in the 21st century, she was already like this. She only sees others' good fortune, never their struggles, just whines about being born unlucky. I worked hard and made it on my own. Still managed to give my family a good life. If she hadn't dragged me to that bar, we wouldn't have had that accident. What if that exchange system was real? If Vane traded something I owned in the 21st century, would I wake up back home? Too bad she never actually wanted to return to the 21st century. Gazing at the lush forest around me, I pushed down those unrealistic thoughts. Time flew by. The day of ritual approaches swiftly this year, unlike my past life. The priest didn't summon me to the ceremonial center for purification this time. I stood among the crowd with my close friends, completely inconspicuous. After waking from the dream, I noticed Vane's prolonged absence. She was clearly avoiding me. She'd secretly watched me several times without my knowledge. Each time she saw me, that bewitchingly beautiful face would light up with smug satisfaction. My mediocrity and ordinariness gave her immense pleasure. The coming-of-age ritual holds great significance for Orcish culture. Only beasts blessed by the beast god can harness their inner energy. Males can freely shift between human and beast forms, while females mature physically until they reach childbearing age. Talia, isn't that Vane at the very front? Following Arwen's gaze, I looked toward the front of the crowd. A stunning fox woman stood at the forefront with a coy smile, her two fluffy red ears perked up and an alluring expression on her face. Her fiery red tail swayed with effortless grace, each movement calculated to perfection in its allure. Unattached males around gazed at her with infatuated expressions, their eyes glued to that languid figure. Watching Vane like this, I couldn't help but marvel. Such natural seductive charm truly embodied the essence of a fox spirit, just like Vane's innate personality, flamboyant, attention-seeking, and utterly unrestrained. With my peerless beauty, I've always kept an icy distance, fearing this face would bring nothing but trouble. How shameless can she be, flirting with males during sacred rites? Doesn't she fear the beast god's wrath? Who knows? Maybe the old beast god fancies that sort. After all, he is male too. Watching Arwen fume, I couldn't resist teasing her with a casual remark. Hush, don't let the beast god hear such blasphemy or you'll face divine wrath. I chuckled without responding. The foxkin hold a peculiar status in the beastmen continent. Though lacking martial prowess, their sharp intellect produces exceptional priests and shamans, earning them favor among major clans. The fox tribe is known for its beautiful men and women, making them highly sought-after partners among other beast folk clans. Several major neighboring clans sent their eligible bachelors to observe the sacred ceremony. Everyone came with hopes of finding their perfect match during the ritual. The current fox tribe shaman is growing old and must select a worthy successor from this year's coming-of-age youngsters, otherwise there will be no one left to preside over the Fox clan's rituals after her passing. The divine radiance of the beast god's blessing soon enveloped every present soul. At the central forefront, Vane stood like a colossal beacon, with half the descending light pillars converging upon her. The others gazed with undisguised envy at the leading figure after completing their baptism. I tried hard to recall my past life. Had I ever received such preferential treatment before? Only when I subconsciously caught Zane gazing at Vane with a satisfied expression did I sense something amiss. How unfair. The beast god shows far too much favoritism toward Vane. Exactly. With so many blessings, she'll surely bear many healthy offspring in the future. Listening to Arwen's conversation, I had a sudden epiphany. It dawned on me, Zane was drawn to me in our past life not just for my beauty, but because I'd received the most divine blessings to bear more offspring. Thinking back, even the most fertile vixens and she-wolves from both clans never bore more than 3 cubs, yet here I am, having birthed 7. With some luck, Zane might actually get his wish for 9 pups. After the ceremony, the priest nodded approvingly at Vane. The blessing concluded, it was time for the unmated males present to begin courtship. Those who found a suitable mate could immediately propose a bonding request. I scanned the room, spotted my parents, and headed straight for them. Before I could slip through the crowd, commotion erupted at the front. Just like in our past life, Zane publicly proposed a soul bond to Vane before everyone. You must bring me a gown woven from mermaid's silk, the largest pearl necklace from the ocean depths, a cavern's worth of provisions, and 3 fertility fruits to claim me. Vane finished speaking with an expectant look, as if Zane's agreement was a foregone conclusion. The crowd stared at her in unanimous astonishment. All 4 items were rare treasures in the beast world. Even a small piece of mermaid silk was hard to come by, yet she demanded an entire dress. It reminded me of my past life when I first arrived at the Wolf clan, clad in a full mermaid silk gown. Is that why she made this demand? I advanced suspiciously ahead, just as her triumphant gaze met mine. Zane probably never expected the female he fancied to be this greedy. Though he could meet all her demands, parting with so much still pained him. The single males fell into complete silence after hearing Vane's demands, their previously eager mating instincts cooling instantly. Under everyone's gaze, Zane was utterly torn with indecision. The square's atmosphere grew increasingly tense with his prolonged silence. The triumphant expression on Vane's face began to falter. I watched coldly as she dug her own grave. Though the Wolf Clan is a major and powerful faction, they always boast about rivaling the Dragon Clan, but they're no dragons after all, might not even be as wealthy as the specialized Bear Clan. Making the Wolf Clan bleed resources before formal alliance is downright foolish. Even if Zane agrees, Vane won't have an easy life among the Wolf Clan after the bonding ceremony. In this primitive beastkin era, beauty is the most worthless asset. Yet Vane stubbornly believes her beauty can get her everything she desires, wielding it without restraint. Fine, I accept, but I'll need a month to gather the required prey. After a long silence, Zane finally agreed. After all, a female favored by the beast god to fulfill his dream of 9 heirs was truly rare. Now everyone had a fresh understanding of the Wolf Clan's extravagant wealth, though its own members wore displeased expressions. Vane's smile turned all the more alluring as she watched the man she'd set her sights on in her past life agree to all her demands. When the ceremony ended, I turned down every male who sought to bond with me and dutifully stood by my father and mother. I've already made plans for the path ahead, Talia. Just as I reached the cave where our family of 3 lived, someone called out to me. Vane stood in the shadows beneath the cliff, clearly waiting for me. Mom, Dad, you go ahead. I'll just chat with Vane at the cave entrance for a bit. Be careful, Talia, don't linger outside too long. Mother looked reluctant when she saw Vane approaching me. She never liked that young female, though our cub had been inseparable with her since childhood. After calming my parents down, Vane and I walked a short distance from the cave entrance and stopped. Standing face to face, I could clearly see the disdain in their eyes. This lifetime belongs to me. The only thing you possessed is now mine, Vane said triumphantly. I burst out laughing. After all these years, my bestie still can't tell what's important from trivialities. Gazing at that breathtakingly beautiful face across from me, I couldn't help marveling at the Red Fox Clan's extraordinary talents in certain areas. What the hell are you laughing at? Your precious husband belongs to me now. Take him if you want. This so-called precious husband of yours. I murmured the last part under my breath, unsure if she caught it. We're all reborn here, and Vane's the one who got me killed in both lifetimes. In her twisted logic, having stolen the beauty I depended on for survival, she could never believe we'd coexist peacefully. Without your past life beauty, Zane wouldn't spare a second glance at your plain self now. Your mermaid's silks, those giant pearls, even the children conceived from fertility fruits, they all belong to me now. The title of Alpha's wife is mine too, along with all the respect those foolish beastmen foolishly gave you. 3. I just can't wrap my head around how someone can be so insecure yet so arrogant at the same time. Vane has always been deeply insecure, otherwise, no one would want to copy someone else's life. Deep down, she believes she can't make it on her own, so even when she gets the chance, she still tries to steal others' answers. I told you, take it if you want, she said calmly, watching the agitated Vane. Only when she truly sees Zane for the beast he is will she regret her choices. After tonight's stunt, Vane's facing a nightmare scenario, and she's completely oblivious to it. She's already alienated most of the werewolf clan before even formalizing the pact, and Zane undoubtedly resents her greed. Despite all this, she remains clueless, even convinced the pack leader is hopelessly in love with her. In my past life, I bonded with Zane and went to live with the wolf clan. As a newcomer, I lived cautiously for a long time. It wasn't until we had our first pup that I began to relax slightly. Being an outsider, even as the alpha's mate, I never dared act superior to the pack. Instead, I did everything possible to help improve their living conditions. It wasn't until I bore my 3rd cub that the wolf clan truly accepted me. By then, I'd already lived among them for 8 years. This time, Vane and Zane formed their mating bond. I hadn't even joined the wolf clan yet when I managed to offend its members. Judging by her current temperament, she's never been one to bow her head or play subordinate. I can already foresee it. Once Zane gets over his infatuation with Vane's looks, her only remaining purpose in the werewolf pack will likely be reduced to the mother of 9 pups. Talia, you know what I hate most about you? It took Vane quite a while to calm down, but the moment her expression shifted, she started berating me. Fake. Acting like you don't care about anything when you're actually competing for everything. You were like this back in school, and now in this godforsaken beast world we're stuck in together, you're still the same. If nothing matters to you, why not commit to the act completely? We all came here together, yet you're the one who got that face that bewitches everyone. Gliding through life effortlessly, adored by your mate, surrounded by children, I stared in confusion. Was this woman insane? What on earth was she jealous about? And me? I was always the family punching bag. Neither parent showed me affection. Even in this world, I'm treated like an outcast. With this plain Jane face, I ended up with an equally ordinary partner. These days, just putting meat on the table feels like a luxury. There they go again, their old habit of blaming everyone but themselves whenever life gets tough. You're always like this, talking to yourself and cursing your luck. In our first life, just when I'd finally made it through the hardest times, you insisted on taking me to that bar, then tried to shove me into danger when chaos broke out. Vane's pupils contracted. She probably didn't realize I'd always known what she'd done to me during that accident. When we later arrived in the beast world together, I let slide your attempt on my life, considering I'd narrowly escaped death anyway. And how did you repay me? You ignited a war between two clans out of sheer jealousy. Countless clansmen perished, yet you miraculously encountered the system again, still chasing shortcuts instead of walking the righteous path. You traded my beauty for your health. Frankly, you did me a favor by removing my burden and granting me rebirth. Our debts are settled once more. You got what you wanted. Stay out of my way, or next time I won't hold back. With a cold expression, I finished speaking. Without waiting for her response, I turned and retreated to my own cave. Vane's face darkened with uncertainty. She had no idea I was also part of the system. No wonder she panicked when I revealed the system's existence. After that night's conversation, I never saw Vane again. Just as I told her, though she cost me 2 lives. In the end, she gave me a chance to start over. All I need to do is stay away from her and live my own life. There's still 1 month left until Zane comes to form a pact with her. After my threat, Vane completely behaved himself and stopped hovering around to annoy me. My days in the tribe followed a set routine, just waiting for the priest to announce the successor selection. Indeed, in my past life, the Fox tribe was forced to seek refuge with a major clan during the drought precisely because they lacked a priest to conduct the rituals. This time, I have no intention of getting married. I will become the Fox clan's priestess and lead our people through the coming drought. I won't let father and mother die young again. Talia, are you absolutely certain about this? The priestess's burden is heavy. It's exhausting, lonely work. The fate of our entire clan rests on your shoulders. The elder priest's slightly clouded eyes were now gazing at me with remarkable intensity. My decision was made long ago. I answered without hesitation, my voice resolute. The Fox tribe hasn't produced a 9-tailed fox in many years, has it? From the moment I was born, it was destined that the Fox tribe would undergo tremendous change. Beauty fades, but my intellect and the wisdom accumulated over 2 lifetimes remain. These are my true treasures. If I become the Fox tribe's priestess, many modern innovations will finally have a plausible origin. My excessive beauty brought me nothing but trouble, as if the heavens deliberately shackled my mind. In my past life, my intelligence was practically on empty. I couldn't even recall my own professional expertise. With beauty stripped away, my intellect has reclaimed its throne. Now I can lead the Fox tribe to greater heights. As for what will become of Vane after gaining beauty, the system said she traded her health for it. When she bears her first cub, she'll finally grasp the true value of what she's lost. Half a moon after the ritual ended, the elder priest announced his search for a successor. The recruitment was voluntary, and many qualified tribesmen signed up. As expected, I made it through to the final selection. As a priestess, I'm forbidden to take a mate. Between communing with the beast god and channeling divine power, bearing children is simply impossible. My immediate pledge brought visible joy to the elder priest. 9-tailed foxes are born to be priestesses, blessed with the divine gift of communicating directly with the beast god, though of course, mastering communion with the beast god will require years of rigorous training. The elder priestess swiftly spread word of my initiation as her apprentice. Vane visibly startled upon receiving the news. Her strained relationships with the tribe, coupled with her betrothal to Zane, meant no other males would court her. By the time she heard the news, Zane had already arrived at the Fox clan with gifts to formalize their union. Zane's arrival to claim his bride caused quite a commotion. Filling a whole cave with provisions seemed daunting, yet a single massive kill could do the trick. True to form, he brought an entire elephant beast. I followed behind the elder priestess, watching as she invoked the beast god's blessing upon Vane and Zane. Vane stood frozen beside Zane, gaping at me in my priestly garb. The bonding ceremony will take place among the Wolf clan. Vane's actions were tantamount to declaring to the Fox clan, I renounce my tribe. Many in the clan resented her, yet strangely felt this was exactly the kind of thing she'd do. After Vane left, life in the Fox clan continued unchanged. Upon becoming the old shaman's apprentice, I moved from my family's cave to the shaman's dwelling. Though my father and mother were reluctant, they respected my decision. This symbolizes the tribe's reverence for the shaman, the highest cave in the entire Fox tribe's territory, even loftier than the chieftain's dwelling, for the elder shaman spent his days either guiding my spiritual practice or assisting the chieftain in resolving tribal affairs with me in tow. As my cultivation progressed, I gradually began crafting various practical tools. Within just 2 years, the Fox tribe acquired furniture, mastered tableware, possessed cooking woks for stir-frying, and developed various flour-based dishes. True enough, thanks to my persistence, the Fox tribe's foraging team discovered wheat in a ravine at the edge of our territory. As for rice, it might not grow within our borders. I still haven't found any to this day. Beyond wheat, I've uncovered various leafy greens, and even managed to dig up sweet potatoes and yams. The chieftain was thrilled. After all, the impact of dietary diversity is transformative. First, the hunting parties no longer need to risk their lives roaming for prey. Now just a modest catch per hunt provides enough meat for every household. The discovery of common medicinal herbs like pseudo ginseng, turmeric, isatis root, and dandelions has significantly improved our clansmen's recovery from injuries. After 2 years of relentless effort, the Fox tribe has undergone a transformative revolution. The tribe's living standards have improved significantly, and their acceptance of me as the next priest has grown considerably. The elder priest was the most delighted Fox of all. Seeing her chosen successor truly leading the tribe to better lives, she couldn't help but advise me to be mindful of divine power usage and avoid excess. After all, overusing divine power would accelerate the depletion of my life force. I simply smiled without explanation. This knowledge was entirely my own, having nothing to do with so-called beast god divinity. In 2 years, I had the Fox clan running like clockwork, while Vane over at the Wolf clan had a much rougher time with her bonding ceremony. The wolves never warmed up to her due to her greedy behavior before the bonding ritual. Even Zane lost patience with her after the initial novelty wore off. Vane's flamboyant personality, coupled with the beauty she'd always coveted, made her grow unbearably arrogant. Not only did she constantly boss the clan around, but she also took pleasure in playing cruel pranks on others. The werewolf clan harbored growing resentment toward their alpha's mate, repeatedly lodging complaints with Zane that ultimately went nowhere. Vane remained utterly convinced her beauty would earn forgiveness for any transgression. After all, who could refuse a request from that face capable of captivating entire crowds? The following year, Vane successfully conceived after consuming a fertility fruit. The good news only made her behavior more brazen. Zane's tolerance for her skyrocketed as he was about to welcome his first offspring. Whether through her own recklessness or not, complications arose just before delivery. A rather frail wolf pup was born. Zane felt both heartbroken and furious at the sickly pup. It was his firstborn, but the frail little thing might not even survive to adulthood. This triggered their first explosive fight between Zane and Vane. Without her mate's protection, Vane's life in the pack became increasingly difficult. She thought I earned the werewolf clan's respect through beauty alone. Little did she know it took years of careful diplomacy to claim my rightful respect as the alpha's mate. Life went on. After Zane's warning, Vane finally hit a wall and reined in his temper. He began tending with utmost care to the sickly pup born frail from birth. As I gradually led the Fox tribe into a new era, the elder priestess had already decided to vacate her position, passing the mantle to me ahead of schedule. I didn't refuse. From what I remembered, the elder's life was nearing its end. Perhaps stepping down earlier might grant her more time. The succession ceremony for the new priestess was magnificent, a testament to my efforts over the past 2 years. The tribe members regard me with both gratitude and reverence. The following decade marked the Fox tribe's rapid transition from primitive society to agricultural civilization. Under the pretense of communicating with the beast god, I introduced modern tools and systems, implementing them across the tribe after discussions with the chieftain. To win back Zane's affection, Vane recalled how I'd borne multiple offspring in my past life and earned his devotion. Deciding to follow in my footsteps, she stopped causing trouble and focused more on breeding cubs with Zane. Whether it was the red fox's overpowering seductive skills or not, even Zane, known for his iron will, became completely distracted from clan affairs, obsessed only with making babies. A decade later, the Fox clan was utterly transformed. 2-story cottages lined well-paved concrete roads, adorned with pottery and wooden furniture of all kinds. Most importantly, our tribe's people have transformed their primitive way of living, adopting proper clothing, hygiene practices, and mastering diverse culinary skills. Food procurement has evolved beyond mere hunting. We now raise livestock and cultivate crops, reserving hunting for occasional needs. Even our elderly and injured beastfolk discovered their worth. Every clansman now strives for a better life with purpose. It took me a full decade to pave concrete roads across every corner of the Fox tribe's territory. The smaller clans that once relied on the Fox tribe have long since merged, and now we all live together as one community, with heated brick beds and coal stoves in winter. Plus the food preservation techniques I taught everyone. Not a single tribesperson has died from cold or starvation since. Concrete roads stretched beyond our territory, facilitating trade with neighboring tribes. The resources we gained accelerated our development exponentially. This continued until our trade and road-building crews reached the borderlands adjacent to the Wolf tribe. For over a decade, the Wolf clan remained unchanged, arrogantly flaunting their military might and proclaiming themselves as the second coming of the dragon race. As Zane became obsessed with breeding and raising offspring, the rest of the clan eagerly followed suit. Life grew increasingly harsh for the she-wolves. Constant pregnancies left many gaunt and lifeless-eyed by the time the Fox clan's forces arrived. When I saw Vane again, the toll of repeated pregnancies, miscarriages, and childbirth had left her utterly emaciated. Her once stunning beauty had faded, leaving her as haggard as the other she-wolves. She's now carrying Zane's 9th child. The arrival of the Fox merchant caravan seemed to snap the baby-obsessed wolf tribe out of their daze. Aside from expressing envy toward our Fox tribe, they also traded quite a few goods. Vane asked to see me when she was about to give birth. Though puzzled, I decided to meet her after some thought. You came. The female lying half reclined on the fur mat had long lost her former charm. She sat there gaunt and withered, like a soulless marionette, even though she still wore the most precious gown woven from mermaid's silk, clad in soft white priestly robes. I stood looking down at her with detached indifference, waiting to hear why she'd requested my presence. You must be pleased to see me in this wretched state, neither human nor ghost. I frowned slightly but remained silent. Back when I stole your beauty and took your husband, I thought you'd fade into obscurity, never imagined you'd still have an escape plan ready. Hearing this, I knew this person would never change their ways. You've always looked down on me. Keeping me around was just to make yourself look better by comparison. I won't accept this. We're exactly the same kind of person. Why does everyone adore you while I get nothing but scorn? Vane's face twisted with barely contained fury as she spoke. I cast a basic healing spell on her, the same divine magic priests used to calm frightened younglings. Having traded her vitality for beauty long ago, she'd always been frailier than most. For over a decade, she's been burning through her life force, bearing child after child for Zane. Now with this 9th pregnancy, she's barely clinging to life. Who knows if she'll survive long enough to deliver this cub? Zane's become obsessed with having 9 heirs. Treating Vane's 9th unborn child as sacred, I'd rather avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings with the werewolf clan. Even now, the Fox clan wouldn't be any weaker than the wolves in an actual fight, but war means death, and the last thing I want to see is corpses littering the battlefield. You chose this path yourself. This is the 3rd time you've failed to turn your life around. Why won't you reflect on your own actions? What else can you do besides blaming the world and shifting all your misfortunes onto others? I truly considered Vane a friend once, but she repeatedly betrayed me and single-handedly destroyed our friendship. You knew Zane was that kind of heartless orc all along. Why didn't you warn me? Aren't I your friend? She dodged my question and instead confronted me about something else. Would you have listened if I warned you? Do you have any self-awareness at all? I couldn't help rolling my eyes. Completely fed up by now, she just had to see me right before giving birth. If this is just to blame and complain, I'm not sticking around to hear it. Vane remained silent as Zane entered the cave. I was about to leave. High Priestess Talia, how is my partner's condition? Is the unborn pup still safe? 5. When he saw me leaving, his first question wasn't about his partner's well-being, but the unborn child. Some things never change. Both mother and fetus are in critical condition. We could lose them both, or you might end up with a severely compromised newborn. Zane's face darkened the moment these words were spoken. Can the baby be saved? I glanced at Vane, whose last spark of hope had just extinguished, shook my head, and walked away. News of Vane's death spread quickly, followed by the announcement that Zane had sired his 9th offspring. I knew it. He'd sacrificed the mother the moment the pups were out of danger. All for his damned obsession. To Zane, mates are mere instruments for fulfilling his 9-child fixation. The Wolf clan's alpha flaunts his 9 feeble whelps everywhere, as if that alone could one-up the dragon tribe. I felt a brief pang of melancholy after Vane's death, but soon put it out of my mind. The Foxkin expanded their trade networks by offering diverse food supplies, handy gadgets, and spacious bright dwellings far superior to caves, all sorts of desirable goods. Numerous small clans struggling for subsistence across the continent began mass migrations upon hearing the Foxkin never let their people starve. As the population grew, their ancestral lands gradually developed into proper towns. The Dragonkin conducted multiple reconnaissance missions after hearing the news. After consulting with our chieftain, we concluded the Fox tribe stood no chance against the Dragonkin's might. But if we could persuade them to ally with us, the beast world could potentially be unified. Thus began my decade-long negotiations with the Dragonkin, expanding trade networks across the entire beast world. At last, through the Dragonkin's military might and my diplomatic efforts as High Priest, the beast world nears unification, beyond the original Fox clan settlement that formed the first town. 7 more major cities of similar scale gradually emerged across the continent. All cities fall under the Beast King's rule, including the appointment of city governors, which remains his sole prerogative. I established the priesthood council with shamans from various tribes to assist the Beast King in governing the cities. No matter who ascends as Beast King, my position as the Grand Shaman of the Beast Realm remains unshakable and beyond challenge. Story 2. The bright red explosions on Instagram opened the prelude to the end of the world. Firstly, a large-scale virus invasion broke out somewhere abroad. People infected by the virus would turn into zombies who lost their sanity. In less than a week, the virus spread rapidly all over the world. People were plunged into panic, and order completely collapsed, presenting a doomsday scene. At this time, however, I was staying at home, eating hot pot and singing songs. The reason why I could be so leisurely was that 1 month before the end of the world, I discovered 2 secret rooms in my newly bought house. 1 month before the end of the world, I was laid off by the company. I received a considerable amount of compensation, and combined with the money I had saved before, I bought a foreclosure house with a small yard in the suburbs. When I was cleaning the room, my dog Wind was running around in the room. He bumped into a certain part of the wall, and then the hidden door leading to the secret room opened right in front of me. Wind, we've found a treasure. I was a bit stunned. Wind was a retired military dog. His hind leg was injured during his service, so he ended his service early. I spent 2 months' salary to buy him, and now he had become the most important partner in my life. Wind walked down the stairs, and I quickly caught up. Yellow lights lit up below. It was the induction lights that sensed us, and one after another, the lights turned on, revealing the appearance of the underground secret room. It turned out to be a wine cellar. The walls of the wine cellar were filled with wine, and several wine barrels were piled on the ground. The temperature in the wine cellar was around 10 degrees. It should be equipped with a constant humidity machine and thermal insulation materials. Wind was very interested in this wine cellar and was excitedly running around. It was rare to see him so excited. 2 paintings were hung on the wooden wall deep in the wine cellar, and a beige sofa was placed in the empty space. It seemed that the original owner of the house used to taste wine in the cellar. I walked closer and tipped down the painting on the wall, wanting to see whose work it was. I found a keyhole in the place covered by the painting on the wall. The key was most likely the one found in the refrigerator. I turned back to the kitchen, opened the refrigerator and took out the key. Then I went back to the wine cellar, inserted the key, turned it to unlock, and pushed open this hidden door. What I saw was a much larger space than the upstairs. There was a living room, a kitchen, a bedroom, a bathroom, a storage room full of daily necessities, a freezer stacked with all kinds of food, a general control and monitoring room, and a staircase leading downstairs. This hidden space had 2 floors in total. The underground first floor seemed to be a living area, and the underground second floor was a place for dealing with domestic waste, a water purification facility and storage facility, and a generator and power storage facility. I went back to the underground first floor, sat on the sofa, and looked at Wind. Wind was dissatisfied with my days and rubbed against my leg, signaling me to continue following him. I followed Wind to the bedroom and opened the cloakroom in the bedroom. The cloakroom was filled with bundles of cash piled up together. On the left display cabinet were placed 3 pistols and some bullets, and on the right were stacks of gold bars. It was really dazzlingly wealthy. I was so shocked and excited by this unexpected surprise and fright of the night that I almost forgot to breathe. Facing this sudden windfall, my heart was beating wildly. My reason told me to calm down, but I really wanted to shout out loud. Was this really not a dream? I picked up 2 gold bars and a bundle of money. The weight of the money was quite substantial. I said to Wind, "Wind, let's go." I closed the door of the secret room, locked it, went back to the bedroom, put the money into my backpack, stuffed the gold bars under the pillow, and went to sleep. The next day, when I woke up, it was around 9 o'clock. I touched the gold bars under the pillow and they were still there. I went to the bathroom and then wandered to the living room like a ghost. I gave Wind dog food, watched Wind eat, and was in a daze. Had I become rich overnight? I was really so lucky. Immediately, I took out my phone. I wanted to buy a lot of canned snacks, dog food, and toys for Wind to reward the great contributor. After having brunch, I took the gold bars in cash, drove the car, and took Wind to the city. I found a gold recycling shop according to the navigation. After entering the store, I took out a 1000 G gold bar and wanted to sell it. After the gold was inspected and there was no problem, the weight was confirmed, and I signed a disclaimer, too, while receiving the money. I received a call from my good friend Fiona. "Can you come to my house now? I received a call from the laboratory and need to go back to the laboratory. Felix was called back last week and hasn't come back for a week already. Fiona's urgent voice came out. Okay, I'm just in the city now. I'll probably be there in about 15 minutes. Wait until I arrive and then we'll talk. Fiona and I were good neighbors and friends who grew up together since childhood. We went through my parents' divorce and her parents' death, and we accompanied each other like this. Fiona went to graduate school and then got a doctorate after graduation. Now she works in a famous biological laboratory in City A. Her husband Felix was her senior when she was studying and works in the same place as her. I didn't understand their work, but I could feel that they loved it very much. This time Fiona was so urgently looking for me. There should be something very important in their laboratory that needed them. I led Wynne to Fiona's house. When I entered the house, there were suitcases and storage bags piled up inside, and my lovely goddaughter was in a packed state and sleeping quietly in the baby carriage. What's going on? I asked in confusion. It said that there was a leak of a deadly virus in a foreign laboratory. Now our country is urgently recalling laboratory personnel to participate in virus prevention. Felix and I must go back to the laboratory. It's unknown when we can come back. After thinking about it, I can only ask you to help take care of Peace for a few days, Fiona said while packing Peace's diapers and baby bottles. Peace will be with me. You just do your work. I have plenty of time now. I always feel uneasy. Do you remember the incident of a rabies patient hurting people when people were queuing up for nucleic acid tests in the urban area last week? Anyway, be careful. I've packed all of Peace's things. I won't be polite to you. Okay, keep in touch. We exchanged cars downstairs. Fiona kissed Peace and drove my car to the laboratory. Peace was sleeping soundly in the child's safety seat, and Wind was lying beside her, looking up at Peace from time to time. He liked this little sister very much. I thought about the incident of the rabies patient hurting people that Fiona mentioned, and combined it with the zombie movies I had watched before. I thought it would be better to be careful now. At this time, a wonderful idea popped into my mind. Recently, the economic environment was bad and it was difficult to find a job, but short videos were extremely popular. Some people were food broadcasters, and some were game anchors, and now that I had 2 secret rooms, why not become a self-media person for doomsday survival? Once this idea formed, it lingered in my mind. Just do it. I drove to my hometown to pick up my mother to mainly help me take care of the child. After picking up my mother, I was ready to go to the mall to purchase a batch of goods needed for being a doomsday broadcaster. Actually, it was just about staying at home. The house I bought was in the suburbs. Stocking up on a lot of things meant that I could stay indoors for a long time. Anyway, I had just got a windfall when I arrived at the mall. I ordered red beans, green beans, black beans, soybeans, various dried vegetables, convenience foods, compressed biscuits, self-heating hot pots, instant soup drinks, all kinds of seasonings, canned foods, sanitary napkins, wet toilet paper, diapers, baby complementary foods, milk powder, baby toiletries, baby wet wipes to replenish the inventory. I bought all the anti-inflammatory drugs, antibiotics, bandages, alcohol, commonly used children's medicines, deworming medicines, deworming sprays, and my mother's commonly used medicines such as vitamins, masks, plasters, self-heating patches, cooling patches, and medical first aid kits that could be used in daily life at the pharmacy. 3. Then I went to the second floor and ordered mechanical clocks, radios, air purifiers, oxygen generators, electric drills, nails of various models, gasoline, electric saws, batteries of various models, tapes of different sizes, solid glue, liquid glue, toolboxes, electric kettles, old-fashioned kettles, egg boilers, various pots and kitchen utensils. In the outdoor goods store, I bought a large camping tent, camping tables and chairs, lamps, picnic mats, outdoor storage containers, windproof and waterproof jackets and pants, hiking shoes, sun protection clothing, quick-drying clothes, thermal insulation equipment, outdoor camping first aid equipment, outdoor multifunctional pots, cassette stoves, solid alcohol, gas bottles, outdoor compressed dry food, emergency food, candles, raincoats, rain boots, compasses, infrared telescopes, waterproof and powerful flashlights, outdoor-specific ropes, sleeping bags, anti-wolf sprays, bear repellent whistles, iron shovels. On the 3rd floor, I ordered clothes, shoes, socks, hats, and underwear for all 4 seasons according to the sizes of my mother and me. In the baby store, I bought clothes, baby sets, clothing accessories, toys, crawling mats, enclosures, early education machines, probiotics, baby strollers, electric soothing chairs, complimentary food machines, children's water purifiers, children's skincare products, and large, medium, and small-sized children's sleeping bags for Peace's future needs. In the household goods store, I ordered children's storage boxes, bedding sets, thin quilt cores, thick quilt cores, blankets, air conditioning quilts, mosquito nets, cool mats, and storage boxes, lighting fixtures. After confirming the purchased items in quantities, summarizing the total amount of the goods, determining the pickup time, and paying the money, it was already evening when I walked out of the mall. The purchased goods filled 2 trucks. When I got home, my mother was holding Peace in a baby carrier and looking at the room full of things and said, "Let's not talk about whether these things can be used or not. Where are we going to put these things, Mom? Come and see the mysterious space." With that, I took my mother to the secret room. When passing by the wine cellar, she couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. After seeing the large spaces of the underground first floor and second floor, the freezer, the storage room, the gold bars, the cash, and the guns, my mother was completely shocked. She took a while to recover and then resumed her usual appearance as an adult. "You're such an adult and still buy toy guns. Anyway, you clean up these things, it's really good. With these things, we should be enough for 2 years of home isolation, right?" With that, she took a small gold bar and teased Peace, "Shall we make a big gold lock for our Peace?" Back on the first floor, I asked my mother, "Mom, do you think there's anything missing from our supplies? Do we need to replenish anything? I just saw that the milk powder you bought in the mall is different from the one Peace is currently eating. I don't know if Peace will have diarrhea if we change the milk powder, and there are also things like baby bottles, anti-choking water cups, and children's tableware for eating complementary foods in the future." I looked down at Wind and said, "Although Wind can also use human medicines, I'd better go and get them already. Mom, you and Peace stay at home. I'll take Wind and go out again. You close the door well. You don't need to tidy up these things at home. I'll do it when I come back. If you think of anything you need, call me. Buy some more fruits, vegetables, seeds, and fertilizers. I saw that the land in the backyard is deserted. We can enjoy the view in the front yard and plant some vegetables and fruits in the backyard." I took Wind to a pet hospital and gave Wind a routine physical examination and a bath. When Wind was taking a bath, I saw a listless border collie locked in a cage at the door. When it saw me looking at it, it nudged the door with its nose. Finding that it couldn't open the door, it drooped its head and lay down dejectedly. I asked the nurse sister beside me, "What's wrong with this border collie? Look at its little expression. It seems to be saying that it's so pitiful, for it's really pitiful. It met a bad owner, first. The owner thought its barking was noisy and found a veterinarian with no medical ethics to cut its vocal cords. Later, the owner thought the treatment cost for its illness was too expensive and abandoned it in our hospital. Now it's the hospital's dead dog." The nurse sister gently tapped its nose through the cage. It seemed to be able to understand what we were talking about and became docile again. Wind had already finished taking a bath and came out. I looked at Wind and then at this little poor thing and said, "I'll pay for its medical expenses. Can I take it away? Dean, someone is here to redeem Jojo. Come out quickly." The nurse sister excitedly shouted towards the office inside. "I hope you'll treat our Jojo well in the future." I held 2 dogs in my hands. One was the original resident Wind, and the other was a black and white border collie named Jojo who I wasn't familiar with yet. I paid Jojo's ransom fee and then bought new dog kennels, commonly used pet medicines, dog food, and canned food for Jojo at the hospital. I was also given 8 chickens that were said to be Jojo's pets. I got into the car with a lot of bags. When I came back, it was already time for dinner. Shopping had consumed a lot of my energy, so I packed meals at a nearby restaurant. I sat outside the door with Wind and waited for the meals. The landlady might be interested in Wind and came over and said, "What kind of dog is this? It looks quite imposing. Why do you raise such a big dog? It's not common." I smiled and just gave a hum in response. "Girl, are you new here? Are you here to visit relatives and have fun?" The landlady was very enthusiastic. "Yes, I'm new here. Is it that yard up there?" She pointed upwards. I nodded. "You came to this place, is it to raise your big dog? It's really more convenient here." Without waiting for my answer, the landlady asked and answered herself quickly. "Let me tell you, when your house was built, it was very magnificent. The workers were all recruited from other places. They dug a well and built solar power generation and wind power generation facilities. They also made some explosion-proof facilities. Later, I heard that the owner of the house got into trouble and disappeared. I don't know what he did. Do you know?" I couldn't handle such an enthusiastic person and could only nod from time to time during the intervals when she was talking. When the landlady asked me again about how I bought the house, who else was in my family, and other questions that I thought were a bit too nosy, my meals were finally packed. I've already paid by scanning the code. I'll go first. Goodbye. In the remaining days, I unpacked, sorted, stored, planted flowers, grew vegetables, and pulled weeds in the yard. I recorded all these processes in the form of videos to accumulate materials. In 2 weeks, I had accumulated hundreds of followers. Except for food and daily necessities, the little things that I liked were all put into the underground storage room and the underground second floor. Now the first floor finally regained its clean and tidy appearance. During this period, I had a video call with Fiona, showed her this small yard, and told her that peace was very safe here and that my mother was helping me, so she could rest assured. We exchanged some information about the situation outside. There were suddenly emerging mutant virus strains everywhere, and there was another incident of a human infected with rabies biting people in City Z. We decided to actively respond to the call of the country and not go out unless necessary. Now, with my mother, Peace, Wind, and Jojo around, time passed quickly every day. I sorted things out, played with Peace, and watched the two dogs chasing and playing around, giving me a feeling that time was peaceful and beautiful. 5. Until the day when the end of the world really came, there was no difference from usual days. The air was even better. The bright red explosions on Instagram opened the prologue of the beginning of the end of the world. Firstly, journalists exposed that a large-scale virus infection broke out somewhere abroad. The COVID-19 virus mutated due to tens of millions of people being infected there, and combined with the local laissez-faire epidemic prevention policy, the virus spread rapidly. Sick patients appeared one after another all over the world. The virus first attacked the human lymphatic system, causing inflammatory reactions in lymph node tissues, and symptoms such as systemic infection and bleeding. The infected patients would lose their sanity, devour living things, etc. Their movements were sometimes fast and sometimes slow. They could judge the position of the attacked according to sounds and smells and had extraordinary strength. Even more deadly was that the infected people carried a deadly virus that would continue to spread. Once a person or animal was bitten by them, they would be infected and turn into the same kind of creature as them. Currently, there was no cure. The government promptly took countermeasures and called on the masses not to go out and wait for unified action. The sudden outbreak of the crisis made people at this time try every means to collect food and supplies on Instagram and TikTok. What was shown were all empty shelves. The supplies I had stockpiled when moving from City B were enough for my mother, Peace, and me to live a wealthy life for 2 years or even longer. The moving company came all the way from City B, and they didn't know what I had stockpiled. The small yard was so solid, and there was also a basement. We must be able to get through this difficult time safely. I kept strengthening the belief in my heart that we were safe. The place where we lived now was far away from the crowd and the urban area, so it was extremely quiet. My nerves were like a tightly stretched string, making me afraid to make any sound. I went to check the gate of the yard again to make sure it was locked. I drove the quail chicks in the backyard into the breeding box and brought them to the basement. I locked the doors and windows on the first floor, drew the curtains, moved a part of the supplies on the first floor to the basement, and brought my mother, Peace, Wind, and Jojo to the basement. Then I closed the hidden door from the wine cellar to the kitchen in turn, locked it from the inside, and locked the door from the basement to the wine cellar. Finally, I felt settled and sure that we would be safe. I used the computer in the basement to watch the network news broadcast. The anchor was calling on everyone to stay silent at home as much as possible. The camera turned, and the street was desolate, in just one day. Was it the sudden crisis or the virus that defeated the human order? People were in a state of panic, although in stockpiling supplies and picking up my mother, I had a vague premonition that there might be a zombie apocalypse, but more in my heart was the fluke thought that I was just overthinking. Fortunately, the network was still not down. I left a message for Fiona, telling her our address, hoping that Fiona could avoid this disaster with us. The signal in the basement was not good, and the message was sent out after a long time, but there was still no reply. The beds in the basement bedroom had been made long ago. I arranged water and food for the two dogs. I took out the air purifier from the storage room, although there was a fresh air system in the basement. In the current situation, the pets had to stay in the same space as us, and there was also peace. Taking out the things that had been prepared and using them would give me a feeling that I hadn't been busy in vain. 6. My mother made pumpkin puree for Peace with the ingredients in the kitchen and also cooked some millet porridge. My mother and I, two adults with heavy hearts, didn't have much appetite at the moment. We drank the millet porridge and watched the situation outside through the computer on the live broadcast platform. A blogger living in a high-rise building in City A was broadcasting the situation in City A in real time. From time to time, we could see one or two creatures that could no longer be called humans, zombies dragging their broken bodies and wandering around the block with strange steps. The situation seems okay, everyone can stay at home. When the zombies are caught and brought under control, the situation will stabilize. Blindly optimistic +1, how can they be caught? Are they so easy to catch? They should be shot in the head, find one and kill one. If they can be saved, they just lost control now. Killing them is no different from killing people. In troubled times, kill the bitch first, catch them and lock them up upstairs at home. I turned off the live broadcast and went to the monitoring room to set up dynamic warnings for the gate and the yard. I regretted not preparing a drone. Now I could only see a small part of the yard and the outside of the yard through the monitoring, and I was in a relatively passive state, on second thought. Even if I could see and know that there were zombies or thugs, with my weak physical strength, I could only add to my annoyance. Now that we had hidden in the basement, it could be regarded as foolproof. At this time, it was hard to say whether I was more afraid of zombies or the thugs in the disordered state. I didn't sleep well that night. The biological clocks of the 2 dogs woke them up on time. The problem we had to face was that they wanted to go to the toilet. I led the 2 dogs to the bathroom and taught them to use the toilet. After teaching them twice, Jojo understood what I meant first. No wonder people said that dogs are dogs, and border collies are border collies. Wind also stood tremblingly on the toilet and solved the big problem of the 2 dogs going to the toilet. I gave each of them a can as a reward and also to comfort them. The 2 dogs had always had a large amount of exercise, and their activities were restricted on the basement 1st floor, so I took them to the basement 2nd floor. The space on the basement 2nd floor was a little larger than that on the 1st floor, and it could also let them run around without restraint. I hid some sniffing toys for them. I went back to the 1st floor, took out Peace's intelligent early education machine, and played some children's songs to add a bit of living atmosphere to this quiet and somewhat eerie environment. The lights on the basement 1st floor were bright incandescent lamps. I went to the warehouse to find some warm light bulbs, put on insulating gloves, stepped on a ladder, and replaced the bulbs that could be changed with warm light bulbs. After changing the light source, the basement also became warm. Just find something to do like this to keep myself from thinking too much, and the feeling of fear slowly faded away. There were still a few quail chicks locked in the breeding box on the basement's 2nd floor that hadn't been settled. I found Peace's baby enclosure, used the baby enclosure to enclose an activity area for the chicks, and there was no bedding and fermentation bed. I could only clean up the chicken droppings frequently. I really escaped shoveling dog poop but couldn't escape shoveling chicken poop. To ensure their temperature, I installed a few heat lamps. Jojo poked his head over to look at his pets. What was more magical was that Wind didn't go to harm these chicks. Maybe there was some encrypted conversation between him and Jojo, and these chicks were taken care of by Jojo. I couldn't help but look at some videos taken by bloggers with drones, observing the zombies at close range. These people who were the same as us a few days ago, with thinking insanity, had become bloodthirsty monsters. The sound made by the drone made them chase in the direction of the drone. 7. At present, there has been no large-scale zombie tide and no casualties. Most of the people were staying at home honestly. 2 weeks later, a continuous heavy rain caused damage to power lines and equipment, resulting in a large-scale power outage and water cut. In an instant, the little confidence that everyone had finally built up was shattered. At the same time, someone found that the heavy rain affected the hearing of the zombies. After losing their targets, their mobility was much slower than before. They thought that the heavy rain could cover the human smell and also thought that now was a good time to take a little risk, collect supplies, or kill a few more zombies. Under this blind illusion and inexplicable self-confidence, the number of zombies on the street could be seen to increase visibly. The small yard had its own power generation facilities, and the power outage and water cut didn't have much impact on us. Because of the heavy rain and strong wind, I cancelled the dynamic warnings for the gate and the yard and the monitoring. I got up early as usual and checked the situation of the small yard through the monitoring. The sky had cleared up, a few fruit trees in the backyard had been blown crooked, and the planted flower seedlings and vegetables were in a state of being blown in all directions. It didn't matter. Nature was about survival of the fittest. The pond had been filled by the heavy rain, and there were a few dead fish lying on the grass around it. I didn't know if they had given up or couldn't withstand the baptism of the heavy rain. The big tree in the front yard was still tall and straight. Everything was normal in the front yard. From the monitoring, a cat-like baby crying sound suddenly came. I switched the monitoring screen. A blue baby carrier was tied to the top of the gate with a rope and was hanging there. Who was airdropping a baby in the rainy night? Was it a trick to use the baby crying sound to arouse others' sympathy and open the door, and then break into the house for robbery? I adjusted the monitoring video to playback at 8x speed. At 2:32 in the rainy night, a light truck RV passed by the front of my house and didn't stop but continued to drive up the mountain. The top of the mountain was a deserted Starry Sky campsite. Maybe their destination was there. At 2:46, the RV that had already driven away came back to the front of the small yard. The door of the driver's cab was suddenly opened, and a man in a gravel gray windbreaker staggered into the camera. He stood blankly in the rain looking at the person in the passenger seat, then closed the door and got into the RV. When he appeared in the camera again, He was holding the baby carrier that was now hanging on the gate, his right arm was tied up with a rope, and there were bloodstains seeping out of his forearm. With his left hand holding the baby carrier, he laboriously climbed onto the roof of the RV, put the baby carrier into the yard, and tied it to the gate so that the baby carrier was hanging on the gate. This series of actions seemed to consume all the strength of this man. He rested on the roof of the RV in the pouring rain for a long time, and finally fell down from the roof, struggling to get up, crawling into the driver's cab, starting the car, and driving down the mountain. In the enlarged monitoring picture, it could be seen that the person in the passenger seat was a lady who had already become zombified. I guess that the two of them were taking the child and wanted to go to the campsite on the top of the mountain to avoid the disaster. On the way, the lady might have been attacked and scratched by a zombie and didn't notice, or it was too late to notice. During the process of turning into a zombie, she bit the man. The man, in a panic, thought of the child in the RV, so he retreated to the front of the small yard to give the child a chance to survive. The monitoring picture was still playing, not long after their car left. A huge explosion sound came from the direction of going down the mountain, and the little baby in the baby carrier started crying from this time. 8. In such a chaotic world, I adhered to the idea that it was better to mind my own business. I had warned myself countless times not to be nosy and to ensure the safety of my family as the top priority. Facing this kind of situation similar to entrusting an orphan, without any room for maneuver, I was also at a loss for a while. I briefly told my mother what had happened last night and discussed with her how to deal with it. My mother asked me to go up and figure out the specific situation before making a decision. I didn't prepare any protective equipment. I didn't expect such a situation. I put on a protective mask, long-sleeved clothes and pants, and gloves. I hoped that what I saw would not be a zombie baby. Please, I really didn't know how to deal with a zombie. I opened the door tremblingly and walked out of the basement. I asked my mother to lock the door of the basement well. Wind followed me and we walked out of the door of the first floor room together. The air after the heavy rain had a freshness that couldn't be blocked by masks and face masks. I took a deep breath. I followed the stone path to the front of the gate. The ground was slippery after days of heavy rain, and there was a shallow layer of water. The little baby in the baby carrier was crying weakly. I untied the tied rope, threw the rope on the ground beside me, picked up the carrier and walked into the sunlight. It was a baby who looked 2 to 3 months old, wearing an apricot-colored jumpsuit, a cute bib, and covered with a thin Lion King quilt. The sunshade of the carrier didn't cover too many violent raindrops last night. His quilt was wet, and the moisture wet his clothes. He had been in such an uncomfortable environment for a long time, and his 2 legs were kicking uncomfortably. I took him out of the carrier and carefully examined him. After confirming that there was no wound on his body, I dared to carry him into the room, found pieces, clothes and toiletries left upstairs, used warm water to simply wash and change the little baby into clean and warm clothes, and made milk powder for him to drink. He was a very cute little boy. After drinking the milk powder, he hummed and fell asleep. Probably he had cried for a long time. His changed clothes, quilt, and bib, I thought it would be safer to burn them. But on second thought, these things were already the last things his parents left him, so I immediately used the washing machine to disinfect and wash them at high temperature. I told my mother that I would stay upstairs with him for a while and go down when he woke up. While he was sleeping, I found the telescope I had bought and climbed up the big tree in the yard. For a person who didn't exercise regularly, climbing up a tree was really exhausting. I climbed to a position where I could see the surrounding environment, took the telescope and looked down, curious about the explosion sound I heard in the monitoring. On the narrow road going down the mountain, a RV was overturned. The front of the RV was smashed to pieces, and there were traces of the vehicle burning and then being extinguished by the rain. The nearby mountain had a detachment and settlement due to the impact of the vehicle, which meant that this only road had been blocked. In such a situation, nobody knew if the child's father had done something for the child. Now that the road was blocked, our survival in the mountains became even safer. With an indescribably bitter feeling, I picked up the little baby who had just woken up and went back to the basement. I told my mother the situation outside and my guess. My mother said to take good care of him. The bib of the little baby was embroidered with a Thai character. It should be the name of this little baby. I changed his nickname to Tiger. I hoped that he would be healthy and full of life. Not long after we went back to the basement, Tiger started to have a fever. This was expected. I put a pediatric cooling patch on the back of his head, wiped his palms and soles with a warm, wet towel. When his temperature didn't go down, I used a suppository. Dinner was 2 open canned foods. I hadn't been able to eat well during this period. The fresh vegetables in the freezer had become wilted. Now we must ensure our physical health so that we could take care of these people and animals who depended on us to live. So my mother and I agreed to cheer up. In order not to affect my mother and Peace's rest, I slept in the living room of the basement with Tiger and the 2 dogs that night. After turning off the light, I was the one who couldn't sleep. I always felt that the living room was too empty, making me unable to fall asleep. The feeling of wanting to sleep but not being able to was really tormenting. After Tiger's fever subsided, Peace slept soundly, and the 2 dogs huddled together. Only I was wide awake in the dark night. When I couldn't sleep, my brain cells became more active, and all kinds of strange ideas came out. I remembered the 2 instant tents given by the outdoor goods store that I had put in the storage room. I got up and found the tents, pushed the sofa and coffee table in the living room to the side. During this time, Jojo got up to drink water, looked at me for a while, and then went back to lie down beside Wind. I found that Jojo was no longer curious about me and didn't pay as much attention to me as before. Probably it had realized our family status. This too observant little dog. The tent was automatic and instant. It popped open with a bang when thrown on the ground without the need to set it up. The color was a mixture of mustard yellow and beige. I laid a moisture-proof mat in the tent, moved my quilt, pillow, and Tiger into the tent, and finally managed to fall asleep. Just as I was about to sleep, Tiger woke up. After feeding him milk powder, he cried for a while and then fell asleep again, and I spent the night waking up to feed him milk powder, afraid that I would sleep too soundly and crush Tiger. 9. The next day, my mother saw the tent set up in the living room and said that I really didn't mind the trouble. And I was very eager for Tiger to be able to sleep through the night like Peace. 1 week after the power outage, due to the failure of the network server caused by the power outage, the use of broadband network was affected, and the batteries of the Iron Tower base station were gradually exhausted, and the communication base station couldn't work normally. We didn't need to hide in the basement all day long. Tiger's fever didn't recur. We went upstairs with them. From now on, we would stay upstairs during the day and go back to the basement to rest at night. The fresh air and warm sunlight were so desirable. Human beings have a great forgetfulness. Without the reminder of the network, in a daze, we would forget that we were in a chaotic world, and there was a bit of a feeling of peace and quiet without knowing the height of the sky and the thickness of the earth. With the previous experience of climbing trees, I decided to make a rope ladder and tie it to the tree. Human beings are excellent in updating their cognition. Most lazy people are very smart. After being tortured, they will consider how to avoid being tortured. The rope for making the rope ladder was ready, but there was no suitable wood yet. I set my sights on the wood under the awning, but it was too short and not suitable for making a ladder, so I thought about the trees outside. It was illegal. I took out the gasoline-powered electric saw, mixed the engine oil and gasoline in a ratio of 1:50. And then added lubricating oil to the saw and filled it with gasoline. I assembled the chain guide plate, adjusted the tightness, and installed the baffle. I put on my protective mask, gloves, and took Wind with me. Usually, without a leash, I wouldn't take Jojo out. Of course, there was no such opportunity either, as I didn't want to stage a drama of chasing a dog all over the mountain. I selected the trees to be cut them down with the electric saw, and then sawed them into small pieces and dragged them into the courtyard. Anyway, since I had taken out the electric saw, I simply cut down 2 more stout trees, sawed them into sections as well, and pushed the tree stumps so that they could roll back into the yard. What are you bringing these back for? You're really good at wasting things. You come up with one idea after another. My mother felt a bit sorry for the cut trees. To make a rope ladder and hang it on the tree, and make a few tree stump stools and place them in the yard. I think you look like a ladder. There are so many stools already. You're just being idle. It was another day of being nagged. I used the electric saw to cut out several pieces of material for making the ladder. The unused wood was placed in the rain shelter in the backyard. I started to prepare to transform the tree stumps. It's so noisy. Can't you keep quiet? Okay. All my plans were put on hold. I pushed the wooden stakes to the side of the tent and pretended that they were rough but finished products. I didn't dare to use the electric drill, for fear of making noise. I used the rope ladder not to make a seemingly nice rope ladder and climbed up the tree again to fix it. After testing it back and forth several times, the rope ladder made climbing the tree much easier. In the afternoon, the sun was warm. I put the chicks in the basement back to the place I had set up for them before. I took Peace, Tiger, and set up a mosquito net in the tent to play with toys. My mother was digging a hole beside the flower seedlings to bury the fish that had died in the pond and started to rot. I turned my head and pretended not to see. Jojo was running around my mother, wagging his tail vigorously. I said to Wind, "You're nice. Come here, Mom loves you." Wind ran away to look at the chicks. Having nothing to do, I took out the camping chair from the storage room, placed it in front of the tent, spread the picnic mat on the grass, and put the cassette stove on the tree stump. The more I looked at these tree stumps, the more clumsy and cute they seemed. I took out the thick-cut steak and eggs frozen in the upstairs fridge and a bottle of red wine from the cellar. I went back and forth, in and out. "What are you doing again? Why are you making so much fuss? Let's have a picnic." "You're never satisfied." The moon was like a small curved boat hanging in the deep blue night sky. The night view in the mountains was full of tranquility and peace. I said good night to this beautiful scenery. We went back to the basement to rest. In the early morning, I picked up Tiger and got up. After waiting for a long time, the door of my mother's bedroom didn't open. I prepared breakfast. Eating alone was too lonely, so I planned to wake my mother up. I pushed open the bedroom door and walked to the bedside. "Mom, get up and eat. Get up. Did you poison my food, you unfilial daughter?" What's wrong?" "I had diarrhea in the middle of the night after eating what you made." "Take peace away. I'll sleep a bit more," my mother said weakly. "You sleep a bit more. I'll make you some porridge. Drink the porridge and take medicine. At this critical moment, you mustn't fall ill. You still have to take care of your lazy and incapable daughter." "Mother, go away." I served my mother some porridge and gave her some medicine. Only then did I let her rest. Today, I didn't take Peace and Tiger upstairs to play either. I held the two kids and found time to feed the chicks. 11. Back in the basement, I took out the electric soothing chair and the baby stroller. I completely pushed the sofa and coffee table in the basement to the wall, in the center of the living room. I installed a fence, laid a crawling mat, and piled all the early education machines and toys inside. On the premise of ensuring their safety, I let them play by themselves. If I didn't take out the soothing chair, the two little ones would soon outgrow it. Children grow so fast. Technology changes life and frees our hands. While the children were playing, I took some videos and sent them to Fiona on WeChat, although I couldn't send them out now. There would surely be a good day when she would see these videos and wouldn't miss Peace's growth. Wind and Jojo were very interested in the two little ones locked in the fence. They lay outside the fence, looking at them. Their postures and expressions were no different from when they looked at the chicks. Jojo always tried to jump into the fence when I wasn't looking, wanting to get closer to the younger siblings. The more I stopped him, the more he seemed to want to rebel. So I gave in and let them in. I watched from the side. I grabbed Jojo's dog face, pointed at his nose, and said, "Absolutely no biting, and no picking them up, remember." I repeated it several times. Jojo seemed to understand and nodded. He turned to look at Wind. Wind leaned against the fence, with an expression that seemed to say he didn't want to go over. Jojo approached Peace. Peace reached out. She grabbed a tuft of Jojo's fur and then pulled hard. Jojo was hurt. I snatched the fur that Peace was about to put in her mouth from Jojo. I replaced it with a rice cracker. Peace was at the teething stage. She wanted to put everything she touched in her mouth to bite. I didn't let Jojo and the others get close to avoid Peace hurting the two dogs. Jojo left the fence with a wounded heart. I went over to stroke him and said, "Sister is still young and doesn't understand. She didn't mean it. Don't be angry. When she grows up, she'll love you and give you snacks." I gave Jojo and Wind some dried meat. At noon, I made yam, corn, and pumpkin puree with a blender. Surprisingly, the taste was quite good. I served a bowl to my mother and Peace, and I shared the rest. Tiger was watching and drooling. "Little darling, you're still too young. You can't eat these things. Drink milk powder. Let's grow up quickly, and then we can eat." For dinner, I steamed an egg custard for my mother and Peace each. I took out a self-heating hot pot for myself. That night, I slept in the living room tent with the two babies. I felt the tent was not big enough. The next day, my mother regained her energy. That was great. In the end of the world, getting sick was really a tricky thing. Although we had medicine, I still couldn't help but worry. "What are you counting on your fingers?" My mother's energetic voice came. "Counting how long the zombies have been around. What could it be like outside now? Climb up the tree and have a look. Maybe a monkey will tell you." "You're really annoying." I took them and the dogs upstairs to play. Suddenly, a strong wind blew, and it seemed that a heavy rainstorm was coming. Since the appearance of the zombies, the weather had also started to become abnormal. I hurriedly collected the chicks and put them back in the basement. Soon after we got back inside, it started to rain heavily outside, with hail mixed in, pelting the ground. "Mom, your cauliflower probably won't survive. The fish in the pond will probably get a concussion." Boom, boom, boom. The dull thunder gradually approached, and the lightning also seemed to be closing in, as if it would strike us at any moment. I quickly pulled my mother, who was still looking out the window at the rain, down to the basement. 12. Why don't you have any risk prevention awareness? You were just standing there staring while it was thundering. I haven't heard of anyone getting struck by lightning indoors. Could the lightning strike the solar panel? My mother said worriedly. Find the flashlights and candles. There's a diesel generator on the basement's second floor. It should be able to ensure the power supply for our living. It's just that it will be very noisy when it starts. There's also a hand-crank generator prepared by the former owner in the storage room. We can also take it out and study it. What on earth did the former owner do? My mother's gossipy side came out. I don't know. I just heard, blah, blah, blah. Oh my, so that's it. One way to please my mother plus one. Talk about the gossip she's interested in. The wind stopped and the rain ceased. It was a new day. The solar panels in the yard had withstood the baptism of the strong wind, heavy rain, lightning, and thunder in the backyard. Some unripe fruits had been knocked down by the hail. We lost a jujube tree. It was struck by lightning. Fortunately, nothing around it was damaged. We cleaned up the fallen branches. We got an item plus one. Lightning struck wood. I climbed up on a ladder to the roof to clean the fallen leaves and debris off the solar panels. I unilaterally declared that the solar panel was an outstanding employee of the yard. The tent was crooked. I straightened it up and rinsed the picnic mat, which had been made dirty by the wind, rain, and mud, with a hose. Such a day was a kind face given by nature. Then the abnormal weather that followed really made us understand what it meant for nature to turn its back on us. It was just early autumn, but snowflakes started to fall from the sky. The snowflakes were falling silently, but they seemed to have no intention of stopping. I put on thick winter clothes and climbed up to the roof to sweep the snow, trying to let the solar cells absorb more sunlight. The power generation of the solar panels was still affected by the weather. The sharp drop in temperature made the two dogs uncomfortable. They seemed very anxious, and their walking speed slowed down. So my mother made winter clothes for the two dogs with my nightgown. Due to the power shortage and the temperature change, we had to light the fireplace in the basement to keep warm. Fortunately, the sealing performance of the fireplace was very good. After using alcohol blocks to ignite the firewood, there was no smoke in the basement. Besides bringing warmth, the fireplace could also be used to make tea, roast sweet potatoes and stew some food, solving the problem of using electricity for cooking. The wooden stumps in the yard were chopped into large pieces of firewood. Adding one piece to the fireplace before going to sleep at night could keep it burning until the next morning, allowing us to sleep soundly. At my enthusiastic invitation, my mother moved into another tent set up in the living room. To save electricity and ensure the normal operation of the refrigerator and the fresh air system, we turned off the lights and suspended all unnecessary electrical equipment. The fire in the fireplace was burning brightly, giving off a kind of magic that made people's hearts calm and full of happiness. I held Peace in my arms, my mother held Tiger, and we sat on the carpet in front of the fireplace. The two dogs lay beside our legs respectively. Mom, do you think Jojo has gained some weight these days? Seems so. Jojo didn't like to hear this. He pawed his ears with his two paws, with an expression that seemed to say he didn't want to hear it. I was sitting on the carpet, bouncing my leg. My mother looked at me and said, "What's wrong with you? You're wriggling around. Are you uncomfortable?" 13. You can't expect anything good from me, really. I took out a somewhat roughly made gold bracelet from my pocket and handed it to my mother. Where did you get this? My mother looked at me and then at the bracelet and asked. I was a bit embarrassed and scratched my messy hair. I made it myself. It's a birthday present for you. Now I can't buy other presents, but I think this bracelet is more meaningful. After all, I hammered it out one by one, 80 for the big hammer, 40 for the small hammer. It's a unique token of my affection. You can't dislike it because it's ugly. I'll put it on for you. My mother wrapped her right arm around Tiger and handed me her left hand. I put the bracelet on my mother's wrist. My mother lifted it up and down for a while and then took my hand and said, "You're quite skillful. Thank you, daughter. It's really rare to hear a compliment. You're such a tough old lady. That's why others often doubt whether you really love me. Only I, the person involved, am constantly looking for your deep maternal love. Come on, do you want me to call you my dear baby every day? You're so grown up, I can't bring myself to do that. It's not like Peace and Tiger, such cute little things. Aren't you ashamed, right, Tiger?" My mother lowered her head and teased Tiger in her arms. I held Peace in one arm and took out a decorated chocolate pie with a candle on it from the basement storage room. Peace curiously stretched out her body, trying to grab the flame on the candle. I had to put Peace on the carpet and kneel on the carpet myself, holding the chocolate pie higher. Make a wish. I hoped that all my mother's wishes would come true and that she would be healthy and happy. I silently made a wish beside her. My mother blew out the candle. The light of the fireplace reflected on my mother's figure holding Tiger. Once upon a time, I was also growing up in my mother's arms like this. Can you make 2 gold locks for Peace and Tiger? Make them thick and look rich, you old lady. I haven't bought the tools for making gold locks before. Now I only know how to make bracelets. This is the simplest. I laughed. Then make one for Peace and one for Tiger. Okay, I'll do as you say. Peace was eager to crawl over and grab the chocolate pie on the carpet. After turning around, she was attracted by Tiger in my mother's arms again. She arched her back and tried to move towards my mother's arms. Tiger made oh sounds in response to Peace, and they were having their own baby talk, looking very harmonious. Peace reached out. I was afraid she would grab Tiger like she grabbed Jojo, so I was ready to stop her. Peace learned from my mother and kissed Tiger. The scene was very warm and beautiful. Peace learned that kissing was a way to express love. A happy night passed. The road I swept today would be covered by new snow tomorrow, as if it wanted to cover up all human civilization and existence. One day after a long time, the long silent phone rang with a notification sound. The power supply in the network had been restored. I took out my phone to check the messages. Hot search: zombie attractant from theory to practice. Fiona. Heated discussion. The dawn of victory. 14. I clicked on the topic, the first relevant news report. Even though she was wearing a mask, I could still recognize her. It was Fiona, who had been out of touch for a long time. Peace's mother. Fiona. Zombie attractant belongs to a form of biological control. Its principle is based on a certain chemical substance secreted by a living species outside the body, which can produce an attraction to zombies. This substance usually can serve as a signal and communication means for the same species. After experimental screening and combination, we found a substance that has an absolute attraction to zombies and is harmless to humans. We combined and made it into an attractant. Under the same circumstances, a living body carrying the attractant has an attraction of 100 to zombies, while the attraction of other living bodies in the same environment is not enough to exceed that of the attractant, creating an absolutely safe situation. Similarly, we can also find a substance with an attraction of 0 according to this theory. Fiona was explaining to a reporter in the laboratory in the video. This means that in this global zombie crisis, we humans have grasped the weapon to fight back. Here, Country Z expresses its willingness to share this achievement with all countries around the world that are suffering from the zombie crisis. Let's join hands to face this different challenge, the reporter said. The video was widely forwarded and commented on. Now announce the coordinates of safe zones in each district as follows. Registration phone number XXXXXXXX. We must firmly believe that in this battle, we will surely win. Broadcast of flash news. Affected by extreme weather, the power grid system is overloaded. To ensure the normal and orderly development of production activities, a time-limited power supply method is now adopted. Please make reasonable arrangements for your power consumption plans. All of a sudden, I received too much information. Fiona's video call came in. I quickly picked up Peace and answered the call. When Fiona saw Peace in the video, her eyes immediately turned red with excitement. We excitedly exchanged our experiences during this period. Fiona thanked me with tears in her eyes. Girl, don't cry. Everything is okay. What are you crying for? Fiona told me some things she knew about the situation in the safe zones in the city. After discussing with my mother, I decided that we would not leave here for the time being. We could achieve self-sufficiency in supplies and life in the small yard. Moreover, now that the power had been restored, we didn't need to leave. Here, we would be even safer. After ending the call with Fiona, I was in a great mood. It was a feeling of seeing hope clearly, even when I went out to shovel snow. I felt more energetic. Now, the daily power supply time was 7:00:08:00, 11:00:12:00, 17:00:19:00. These few hours of power supply relieved the crisis brought about by the decline in the power generation of our solar panels. We had fallen in love with the warm feeling brought by the fireplace for heating, and we still used it very tacitly. Good things were happening one after another. Jojo gave birth to a single puppy last night, which was jointly conceived by her and Wind. The puppy's fur color now looked more like Wind's. We named it Hope. I moved the kitchen table out and placed it beside the fireplace, used thin quilts to cover the four sides, laid thick mats on the ground, and created a simple little nest for Jojo to avoid her getting nervous when we got close because of protecting her cub. My mother took out the whole frozen chickens and ribs from the freezer and made the first confinement meal for Jojo. Wind was deprived of the right to approach Hope by Jojo and could only stay beside the simple little nest, secretly looking through the gaps in the thin quilt. The laboratory had developed simulated attractant robots, which had already been put into use. They could guide zombies to designated safe locations for elimination through remote control. This had greatly reduced the casualties of human fighters. 15. The quail chicks also started laying eggs. I filled the empty milk powder cans with the nutrient soil brought from the upstairs yard, sowed seeds in them. I had already bought seeds several times repeatedly, and there were a lot of them, so it didn't matter if one batch failed. I placed the cans beside the quail chicks' coop, and the heat lamps could provide light and temperature for their growth at the same time. When Peace was having a video call with Fiona once, She pointed at Fiona's image on the screen with her little finger and called Ma. Fiona was moved to tears again. After ending the call, looking at Tiger, I started to feel a bit sad. I truly realized that Tiger was an orphan who had lost his parents. He couldn't wait for his parents to come and pick him up, and he wouldn't get a response even if he called Dad or Mom. As days passed, the seeds sown grew sprouts, sent out branches, and grew taller, but they still looked a bit weak. I shoveled up the chicken droppings nearby and buried them in the soil. The quail chicks started brooding. The process of life's gestation was really magical. The haze in the sky had completely dissipated, and the earth began to rejuvenate. Green grass and leaves started to sprout. Hope grew into a handsome and rather naughty puppy. It needed extremely patient training. I could only lower my expectations of it. Probably its obedience followed its mother's. Once, when I pretended to hit it, Wind rushed out, pressed my raised hand with its paw, and nodded at me, with an expression that seemed to say, for my sake, let it go. In this global battle against zombies, Country Z, relying on the absolute advantages of its previous epidemic prevention system and the arduous and sacrificing spirit of its people, finally managed to overcome the virus with great difficulty. However, foreign countries, due to their laissez-faire policies, suffered heavy losses. Many countries even faced the risk of disintegration. Out of humanitarianism, our country extended a helping hand to the severely affected countries, helping them eliminate zombies and rebuild their economies, becoming the most responsible world leader in the contemporary era. After this disaster, countries around the world were severely weakened and began a long period of recuperation. The world situation reached an unprecedented level of peace. The world had changed so much. We continued to live a wealthy and happy life. Everyone would have a better future. As for why Peace was named Peace, because Felix's nickname was Joy, and peace and joy were Felix's romance.